Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
Someone says, what's the future? Vaughn Coleman.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Vaughn Coleman here. Let me just say hello to the chat, and then we'll bring everyone in. Doug209, how you doing? Then we got hello, I'm here. MX Lover, how you doing? I don't know if it's your first time in chat, but if it is, thank you so much for coming and swinging by. If you guys, anyone is new here, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Emily, great to see you here. And now, without further ado, let's bring in the panel. Let me pull up some intro. You know what? I'll bring everyone in with one intro. All right. Let's do.
Music make you lose control. Music make you lose control.
How you guys doing?
What is going on?
Hey, it's my first time here. Welcome.
First timers is always good.
It's also my first time here.
Mine too.
Oh, yeah.
Mine too,
First
actually.
time meeting.
Panel of virgins.
Yeah, three of you guys.
Good
Wait,
point.
Joe, it's your first on my channel too. Yeah, we've streamed together a
I
bunch.
think, yeah,
but-
we've streamed together. This is the first time I've been on your channel, though. Yeah.
That's right. And we are, of course, talking about this little show. You know, no one's really talking about it. The Penguin. I think I'm the only person that is hosting a discussion on this show.
You might be.
I might be. You know,
Which is
I'm a real
surprising.
trendsetter. No, so this show has been getting a lot of buzz. I'm
Hmm.
expecting even some people who don't watch my streams normally, who don't even pay attention to comics or any of that stuff, have been talking to me. Vaughn, are you watching the Penguin on there? And then I'm like, I'm doing discussion. So we might even see some people who don't normally do YouTube popping in tonight. We'll see. But before we get started, so let's have everyone. I want you guys. We'll do a little introduce ourselves, and then we'll talk about our baseline thoughts on the show, and then we'll kind of get into the discussion. So first, I'll start off. So some people maybe don't know me. If that's the case, and they're coming from some of your channel, but mine is Vaughn Coleman. I'm a writer, comic book creator. I've got some stuff. I'll promote my stuff later on. Worry about me later. But my thoughts on the show are I was very happy with it to start with. The first 3 episodes I really, really dug. I wasn't crazy about some of the twists and turns they made, but overall I do think it was good and had a pretty solid ending. I think there were some bumps along the way, but overall I do think it was a very solid show. And I enjoyed it. But Joe, what are your thoughts? Tell everyone about it.
I really enjoyed the show from the get-go. I mean, the first opening, 10 minutes of the show that kicked it off, I knew I was going to like it from that right off the bat. Like, I love how they brought over the Matt Reeves Batman universe into HBO cinematically. They kept it the same. You know, you felt like you were right there, just, the spin-off of the movie. And I have to say, like, the story was fun. I didn't know all the characters. Like, I'm a Batman fan, I know the Penguin and stuff, but I didn't know a lot about Sophia Falcone and all that kind of stuff. So I was getting into that for the first time. But I have to say, like, shout out to the actors in this series. I thought did a really, really good job of portraying their, Colin Farrell did a phenomenal job. I thought he did a good job in the Batman, but actually seeing him take on the character, the voice, the mannerisms, everything they're trying to do with this more of like this kind of gangster mob version of the Penguin was fantastic. And you almost kind of forgot that you were watching a show about the Penguin because you got so much into like this kind of mobster, gangster kind of story. So yeah, I thought it was great. The characters were great. The story was good. It ended on a note that I thought was really, really cool. Even the kind of twist, if you want to call it, at the very end. So yeah, I was very thrilled with the show.
Yeah, great show. And I'm glad you liked it so much. I had a feeling you would, knowing your taste, and it seemed like you were sounding off about it on social media. The opening definitely is great.
The opening was awesome. It really was. Like it pulled you in.
Yeah. Strider, what about you? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed the show. Really enjoyed the script. As Joe said, the actors were fantastic. I don't think there was a weak performance in the whole thing. Really, it's it's the kind of quality you expect from HBO. And whilst this is the same studio, this is the same the platform, I guess I don't even know what to call it anymore, that gave us like The Wire, gave us even The Deuce. I don't know if anyone saw that. It definitely reminded me a little bit of The Deuce, which was that one about the porn industry in the 70s in New York. Really gritty, really grimy and gross. And I've been a fan of Colin Farrell for a very long time. I think he's a fantastic actor. And in fact, after I finished the finale, I watched I watched the first half of The Batman, which I really enjoyed. A lot of people didn't, but I still really love it. I still will stand on. I love the whole universe. I love what Matt Reeves has set up. I really enjoyed Sophia. I like that actress too. I know her as How I Met Your Mother. Yeah, and nothing else. So it's kind of funny to see. I almost forgot I was looking at your mother, the titular Your Mother. I'd probably give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. There were some times when the script was requiring actors to soliloquize and not necessarily converse. But when they were conversing, when they were talking back and forth, the writing was really strong and the performances shone through quite a bit. I really, really enjoyed it. I also liked how it was the same composer, Michael Giacchino, as the Batman. I thought that was really cool.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep. And Matt Reeves is producer, even the same title of the Penguin. It's
same font.
much the same as the Batman. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I like that keeping in line. All right, over to you, Azra.
Arza. The R goes before the Z.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm only saying that because literally every single person has said Azra, and I'm not sure why. I need to figure out why.
I don't know.
Dyslexic am I?
But I thought the Penguin was phenomenal, especially those first 3 episodes. Episode 4 was a little weak. Episode 5 was probably the worst in the series. Episode 5 really just felt like they had a bunch of stuff they had to get done, and they just decided we're going to do it all in one episode without any of the polish that the rest of the show has. But there's a lot of just like tiny details that this show really pays attention to that's just phenomenal. Like even in the logo, Penguin, the G looks like a penguin. Like,
never noticed that.
Wait, what? Hold on.
The G looks like
bring it up.
the visage of the penguin.
I demand proof.
I noticed that when I was watching earlier today. I'm like,
I see it.
Identical
I
to
see
the
it.
penguin.
I don't know if that's intentional, but I see it.
Does it?
It looks like the penguin.
It
little
looks
bit, yeah.
like a G. To
Like it
me.
looks like him from the it looks
So-
like the inside of the G looks like him from the comics.
Are we seeing the same thing? I'm seeing a.
I'm not seeing it.
I don't.
I don't know. Maybe
anyone
I'm just
have
I
seeing
mean,
these. I don't know.
you know how like there's Rorschach tests where you're like you see like what you want to see. It's fire. I think
Yeah,
there
I've
might
seen-
be
I've
a
seen
similar
a few
scenario.
malls.
Because you know the
in Wallace
penguin,
and
whenever
Gromit.
you see him from the side, you know he's got the
Oh,
really
Dawn, I
pointy
didn't
nose.
realize
It goes
he
straight
could
back in.
All right.
Yeah.
send it down.
Does anyone see Wallace and Gromit? It looks like that. It looks like the claymation
Cracking toast, Gromit.
serial killer penguin that disguises himself as a chicken. It looks like him in profile. I see it.
Maybe I'm just seeing what I wanted, but there's just because there's so much quality in the show, and you know I grew up on How I Met Your Mother, so seeing Kristen Milotti again, I don't want to fix her. I want her to break me.
Oh man. All right. So, what about you, Chris?
Yeah, okay, so for me it was weird because it wasn't that I disliked the Batman film. But yeah, I'm not really a mafioso kind of guy. Like I never really got into The Sopranos, but I did like Breaking Bad, and I got a lot of Breaking Bad vibe from this. Like, you know, and it hooked me. Like again, I'm not like the mafioso kind of guys, but I jumped in and watched this, and it hooked me from the very first episode. And my kind of only like I guess worry is if they go into a second season and we start seeing more Batman and less mafioso stuff, because I think they nailed it with the Falcones and like that whole like the Penguin was like the mook that was very cunning but very dumb. You know, like he makes everybody think he's a dumb brute, but he's actually calculating and stuff, you know?
He ain't dumb, you know, dumb brute. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Canning it out, man.
And I loved that, and I loved how he came out on top as this dumb brute. That like it's not a story I generally see. It's kind of like it's like Kaiser Soze, but on like steroids. Like
Mhm.
You know, like at the end, he's still hobbling, but he's on top. The city's
Homie
his.
had that ball planned out from the jump, yo.
Yep. Yeah.
Can
And
I-
his mom called it. His mom called it. And that's what made it scary.
After she
Can I
called
just
him
say,
other
if they
things.
did a second season, it looks like they're pushing him towards like the mayor storyline,
Yeah.
where he's going, in that direction. I think you would have to pull back a little bit on the mafia kind of stuff in the second season, but I think it would still work. And I actually think it would be beneficial if you had like a cameo of like a Selena Kyle or a Bruce Wayne or just a shot of Batman just to connect the universes, but to still keep the series separate enough that you can get into the story of Oswald and how he's rising up, up the ranks and everything to become the Penguin that we know him to be in the comic books. As right now, he's not that yet,
I still say that Jason should have been one of them kids stealing one of them hubcaps.
Oh yeah, Jason
Oh.
Todd.
Are they going to bring that character in though?
Well, we got to get Dick Grayson.
I was
got
just going
it
to say they
now.
don't even have Dick
Well, he's
Grayson.
not.
in
Well,
it
also
yet.
like Robert, the Pat man is not old enough to have a Robin yet. He
Yeah,
has
he
not-
Right? Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. 2 years on the job. I don't think so.
Dude,
You
Matt
know,
Robin.
he's got to be a little bit more veteran before you bring in.
I guess.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
needs to be. He needs to be way
look at
older.
it- Look
They
at
got to
it.
throw a
I
little more
disagree because
scruff
look at
on
it.
bro before he gets a kid assistant. Then he just look like a pedo. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. I mean, look at in the comics. After just 1 year, Robin was introduced.
That's true,
But
but
how long
Batman
in-
still had a very, but Bruce still had a very, what's the word? Mature bearing about him. So he was still,
Bird Barry.
yeah.
And how long
what I
was
mean?
he,
Looked
was he
like a bat at
technically
nighttime.
Batman at that point in the
Yeah.
actual lore?
I don't
He
know.
looked.
You
Well, here's
know,
the
'cause
thing,
they
you
never really
can't have a
established
Robin.
back then. It's just like he's there,
Yeah, you can't have the thing is the thing about Robert Pattinson. He's not tall enough or wide enough really to make a Robin believable.
Why
Or
you hate
Robin
Robin?
would
You have
be.
to actually get a child.
I actually
not-
hope they
actually
don't
like
bring
him.
Robin into this series. This series is really good. It's grounded. It's dark. It's a little bit more mature. They don't need the character like Robin
Yeah.
in the
Honestly,
Batman Matt Reeves universe. I just don't think it would benefit.
I agree
At
with you
all.
on that, Joe. I agree.
Honestly,
Just
the ties
no
to
more
the Batman
Joker.
hurt the show.
No Joker. I'm tired of it.
Oh yeah,
I'm done with the
We
Joker
get it.
Yeah.
too. Like put him on the shelf for
Everybody
a while.
is.
Like, I love the
Especially
Joker as
that
a character,
they
but
showed
just
at
let's
the
do
end
something
credits
else.
to the Batman. Do not have that.
Yeah, that
No.
was just like the whole like, oh, what if he's
Oh,
like
God.
really messed? Ew, disgusting.
Dude, look
Everyone
like-
It
was
was,
like,
it was a
that.
horrible. It's probably the
Well-
worst looking Joker, worst take I've seen of
Yeah.
the Joker.
Agreed.
Most
Even
definitely.
worse than Suicide Squad. What's his Jared
Oh.
Leto's Joker? I mean,
Oh,
and that's the reason why I say that is because I mean, just you're trying to make the Joker out to be. I like what Matt Reeves is doing with this universe. I really do. But that was a horrible take. This disfigured. It just it wasn't the Joker, and I'm glad they cut it out of the movie. And I hope they never bring it back. Let's just keep it on the cutting room floor. Let's go in a different direction with.
Yeah.
There's so many rogues gallery that Batman has. Let's dive
Yeah.
into some that
At
we
least
haven't
Killer
really seen on the
Croc.
screen yet. Yeah.
yeah. I want to see Ra's al Ghul in this universe. How could they temper that supernatural effect with the mafioso stuff?
You know what? Look, they were already in the sewers just a
Yeah.
couple episodes ago. They were
Well, especially
there.
now with the flooding in Gotham, you could definitely bring in.
Yeah.
You
Why
know,
not
some
have
stuff
Waylon
that
just
was
show
going
up and be like, I'm hungry?
I mean, you don't even need. You don't even need. You don't even need to do the supernatural aspect. He's just the League of Assassins. That would fit right
Yeah.
in with the.
Wait, we're
mafioso
talking
thing.
what with the?
We're talking about two different characters at the
Yeah,
same
we're
time.
Oh,
But yes,
Combine them, the Croc and the.
you
so
could
Dawn,
do Killer Croc in this universe, and you could
I don't know if you
instead of
could
him
do
being
that.
like like an actual monster, you could come up with some kind of condition for a man
Yeah.
to kind of be in that aspect, and
See,
you could do
this is
something
the
more
perfect opportunity to give us a
realistic.
comic accurate Bane.
Yes, please.
That would be nice. Yeah,
That'd be nice.
Because
You know
he's
what would
such a
F up
grounded
everybody,
character.
though?
For
If
you.
Azrael just show up.
Now they'd be
Mm.
going crazy with that.
I would kind of like Azrael to show
Like
up.
Gotham
I
is
love the
in such
character, but that'd be a little
state of
bit-
disarray.
a little
Homeboy
bit.
just shows up and it's like
A little
I'm
early,
gonna
though.
get up.
Yeah, but
here's
this
a question.
early. Oh,
Here's
Go
a
ahead.
question that might be a bit reading into things, maybe. Did anyone get towards the end of the show like an inverse Joker kind of feel with around Sophia and the psychiatrist? Kind of an
Mm,
inverse
Who's that?
Joker
I didn't-
Harley Quinn.
that she seduced him.
Yeah.
It was
He
kind
was
of
just-
freaking me out that he was back.
But
at
he never
Arkham to
really
begin with.
changed
I
it. He was
thought
like-
he just quit.
he was
I
one of
thought
my
he-
least
that was
favorite
odd.
characters.
I agree.
I thought he was a delusion, to be honest.
Right? Yeah.
So, Mr. Hat, Don. By the way, we didn't get your overall thoughts. What are your overall thoughts on the show?
Dude, This friggin' final episode, I couldn't stop. I couldn't peel my eyes away from it for even an episode.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
It was balls to the wall, boss. I loved it.
Yeah.
nice.
And I mean, everyone, I'm assuming, watching this has seen it.
Oh yeah.
I
I made
called-
sure.
yeah.
I called it from the jump, dude. He was going
So
to
did
kill
I.
Vic. I knew it.
So did
Just like
I.
my wife.
Do it.
I knew
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
My wife said from the get-go,
Because
she's
the
like,
Penguin
I think
can't-
he's going to kill Vic. I'm like,
The
I
Penguin
don't know.
can't do
She's
shit with
right.
anybody. He has to do it by himself.
Yep.
He has to
Yeah.
prove
He's
it
a
to
loose
himself.
end.
He is his own antagonist in
Yeah.
the entire show.
I saw
Yeah.
it as soon as they were talking. He's like, "I'm sorry, Vic." I'm like, "Bye bye, bye bye."
Yeah.
At the,
No,
at the end,
thought
yeah, when
sooner
you're
than
sitting there,
that.
they was really
I thought
building up
sooner
to
than
it. You could feel it. I mean, they did a good
You
job.
got
But
all these poor little
Yeah.
fanboys out
There-
here talking
there's-
about it's Mr. Freeze. Shut up. You don't know shit.
Okay.
Like Mr. Freeze.
Well, here's the brilliance of Colin Farrell's acting. That guy has such expressive eyes, and even through those 50 layers of makeup
know.
and prosthetics,
Yeah. It's
I knew
unrecognizable.
the minute he decided to kill Vic. I know we're jumping ahead a little bit. I knew the minute he decided to kill him, whenever Vic started mentioning his family, and he had this like
Yeah.
this ever so subtle. And Colin Farrell, only Colin Farrell can do this because I've watched his career for a long time. I like a lot of his stuff. He just has this little look away, and
Mhm.
I knew it. Like I knew exactly what he was going to do because that Vic signed his death warrant that way.
Not
Because
to
if Vic
mention,
had just
bro,
remained
the second
kinda-
any of these characters start talking about family and loved ones
Yes.
when they're talking to some
Yeah.
villain, that's your
Expiration
foreshadowing
date.
right there. They're going down.
Yep.
Yeah.
exactly,
Well,
and it made complete sense because his mother was just used as leverage against him.
Mhm.
Family, the
Mhm.
only thing he had, the only weakness, and
Mm.
Sophia almost took it from him in a colossal way, both like physically, mentally, and emotionally. Their relation, she didn't just take her away, she took away their whole relationship, his whole reason for living and doing anything. It's done. And he
Yeah.
recognized that being a weakness. And the minute Vic mentioned family, his fate was sealed. And only Colin Farrell could have had that very slight look away and this very almost imperceptible sigh, and you knew what he decided to
Well-
do, and I loved it. That's just
Well,
the
I
whole.
know. Yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine. I was done. I was done.
I noticed. Yeah, sorry. If I'm on a delay, I don't mean to walk on people. So I
Spit it
apologize.
out, man.
Yeah. I've noticed that there's this trope in villains lately where it's like the mommy complex.
Mm.
You know, like
Mm.
Homelander with the breast milk and stuff. But I really like
Mr.
how.
Freeze.
Yeah, I really like how Oz kind of flipped it on its side, where basically his mother was a prisoner. Like she was
Right.
living in hell. And she actually said, I wish I had Rex take you out when and all that stuff. But
Oh,
like
that
if you
was
notice how
cool, dude.
quickly she was replaced, he instantly
Right.
made a new surrogate, and that makes him scary because he doesn't view people as people, he views them
Yeah.
as props.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
a great point. That's a great point.
And it was also a thing too, where the way he gaslit Vic too in the club in episode 3, where it's
Yeah.
like, "Look at you, you have everything, and all you feel is this." It's like you are doing that. You
Yeah.
haven't been watching this episode, and it's like people, and it's almost like part of me was almost like, "Oh, maybe he kind of does care," but it's like, no, he doesn't.
But the
That's,
And I
that's
kinda
good. That
like-
was the point. That was a great
He-
thing about the writing in the show, though. When you talk about the arc of the character of Oz in the show, if you didn't know who the Penguin was, and I tried to watch the show going into it just to be like, what's this version of the Penguin in this universe, not basing him on the comic and not knowing things, just enjoying the story. They did a great job of making you feel sympathetic to Oz to a point where you're rooting for him, right?
Yeah.
You're rooting for him to overcome all these things and beat all these guys.
Yeah.
And then they developed a relationship between him and Vic. I thought was really cool. Like it was, at first you're like, everyone's shitting on Oz, everyone's treating him bad. That's how they're setting it up, right? Everyone's treating him bad his entire life. And now he's finally kind of connecting with this kid. And they did a great job of showing that at some point, I do believe that Oz cared for this dude, and that's what made the ending so brutal when you're like, all right, this is a villain and he's doing villain stuff because he just took out somebody I actually think he actually had feelings for, as far as caring for Vic, his well-being, trying to prop him up and bring him up off the streets, and
He still
almost
took
seeing
his
like a
dad,
version
though.
of himself, be like, all this kind of
He's a
stuff and having a
sociopath.
friendship.
Mhm.
And I thought that was great to take him through this entire arc and show that he could care and he could have these feelings, but at the end, he was all about himself and elevating his
Yep.
position. And I thought it was perfect. It was really good storytelling. And again, Colin Farrell, I've liked him for a long time too. And I knew that, like, when he took the role in the Batman, he was going to do really good. But this series just really let him shine as this character and getting into the character. And it was just, it was so well done by the dude, acting wise.
And Joe, what about when they were going to cut his mom's finger off, right?
Yeah, and he's still holding on.
You're gonna let me do
that, dude.
Yeah.
Just tell him. Say, we'll stop it, right? Just tell him. And he's like, "What are you talking about?"
I actually love that. I
Yes.
love that so much because it showed that he was so dedicated to his own story.
Yeah,
his
I mean,
own
is that
delusion.
true delusional,
He told
or is that just masterful lying?
Well,
No, he's a
that's
sociopath.
fine. You know, he told so many lies to so many people to manipulate, you know, but he was so good because he never got caught in a lie. He was
Dude,
always
he
able
killed
to
his
stay
brothers.
within. It was all, yeah.
Did he?
Yes.
Well,
that was
that's
always my
another
big
thing too.
See?
Can I say,
He
like,
said-
going up to that point where they did a great job in the storytelling of keeping a lot of that stuff a mystery. Like, we knew his brothers died tragically, but we didn't know how. You could kind of guess or all that kind of stuff.
See, I was.
But when they started,
Bob.
when they started to turn Oswald from this kind of hero that we're watching, rooting for to beat all these people, those last 2 or 3 episodes where they kind of started to turn him into the villain that he is, started with the killing of his brothers. And at that point, you're like, oh shit, at such a young age, he is this way. And then he kept getting darker and darker to the point where I read somewhere that Matt Reeves had said that by the end of the series that you're going to hate the Penguin, which is what you're supposed to do because he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
You know, for the most of the series, you're like, this is kind of cool. I like how he's doing this. He's smart. You know, the acting is good. The relationship between him and Vic is fun. But at the end, you're like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, this dude's a bad guy. You know, like, we're not supposed to like him. And I thought it was a great way they kind of just brought you through the season that way.
Dude, the kid that
Absolutely.
played
Even what they
young
did.
Oz was
Yes.
amazing.
It was great.
Fantastic
The
job. Yeah.
mannerisms, the speech patterns, the whole friggin' nine. I was like, this kid better get a friggin' Emmy.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Even when he's getting strangled out, like, because I was rewatching the scene, it's honestly, it was sadder upon rewatches where it's like the face he makes where he's trying to get out and he's just pushing, and it's like that last desperate attempt. It was like so, oh my god! And it's the way that Colin Farrell is just, he's just like so. He just like pops him over like it's nothing. Like he meant nothing to him.
Yeah.
It was
and
Taco Tuesday as far as he was concerned.
Which is weird because it's like, so did he care for Vic? Because he strangled him thinking that.
He did. Well, here, my wife brought this up. It was a crime of passion. It was a killing of passion when you strangle someone like that. You know, he didn't shoot him in the head. It wasn't just this quick thing. Like, it was, he killed him slowly and he was talking to him the entire time. And while he was talking to him, he's like, you're a good man. You know, you got a good heart, you know, like all this kind of stuff. To me, that was a killing of someone, like, he actually cared about him, but he was doing it because it's, you know, it's not personal, it's just
you're
business
a great
kind
guy,
of thing.
Joe, but I'm going to kill you anyway.
That's
No,
what
the one
you
thing
know,
I noticed
because
is
he cared more
But
for
it's
himself and he
ambiguous.
cared more for what he was doing and where he was going, and he had to sacrifice this weakness, right? He probably didn't want to do it, and the way he did it was showing you that he didn't want to do it, but he was doing it because he had to in his mind, you know. So
it was like he was convincing himself to do it.
exactly,
Well,
you know, and
I
I
think
thought the
also-
death
Yeah,
scene was fantastic in that way
Yeah.
because it was a slow death, and you're watching a character in Vic that we all, you know, came to like, and you see the kid grow up and get better and be more loyal and do all these things for Oz, and at the very end, he's pleading for his life and dying slowly, and Oz is just saying these wonderful things to him at the same time as he's killing him. You know, like, it was very well done up to that point, and it was more of a crime of passion, in my opinion, than just you know, you're done, I'm moving on kind of thing.
Something I noticed.
I
that
think
the more-
especially the fact that he did it with his bare hands, because
Yes.
Oz doesn't kill people. Oz doesn't.
He would've
'cause
put a gun
in
to
this
him.
show, yeah, he'll stab people. He will shoot people. He'll
That's a good
let,
observation.
let Mr. Krabs die out, like have an asthma attack or whatever, and then die, and then like gloat over it. I thought that was hilarious. By the way, I was pissing myself laughing. But the fact that he was doing it with his bare hands, he let Vic get in close because he had a gun. He could just go pop.
Right, that's what I'm
But
saying. Yeah,
But he put his arm around him, like, yeah, he a kid, and I that's one because I see Marco Polo on Netflix. When you give someone pull someone in with a hug, and all of a sudden just their breath is going to be gone, and then he just put his. But it's the thing, he didn't squeeze him so hard where he could talk. He could still hear Vic plead for his life. All he was saying is please, 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 please. Ugh, it's awful. But he was doing it with his bare hands. This was not somebody who meant nothing to him. And I think
exactly.
I think the character that we've established thus far, he's pretty impersonal. He gets other people to do his dirty work for him. because that's who he's always been. Because he's got a gimpy leg. He's not very intimidating. He's kind of weak, but he gets other people to do his stuff for him. But the fact that he killed Vic so personally and so close to him, it wasn't just like holding him out. It was pulling him in an embrace, and that was an embrace of death.
Exactly.
And it was brilliantly done.
I would
That came out of
be
nowhere for me.
So willing to say that Gimp saw a show. Like
I think
maybe it's not. As
well, he had
severe
this
as
since he was a
makes
kid,
out to
though.
me, because Oz really plays up on being underestimated.
Yeah, he's a
Well,
dumb.
they show his
way
they
to
show his feet
underestimate
at that one
somebody
point
that
when he
he's-
takes off his shoes and stuff, and his feet.
Yeah,
and
that's-
his,
I
his
saw
all-
that.
you know, I mean, like, I don't
But I
think
mean,
that.
maybe it's
Why did they show
not
Madam
as
Savvy's feet?
severe. You know, like I'm just speculating. I'm just speculating.
Giving a guy like a fat guy with a limp and making him somehow still get out of every situation and still be superior and still it was just like
He might have been a
writing.
big dude, but he could move, man. When
Well,
he had
He's strong.
It's a
He's
trope
strong
on its
guy.
side.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Strong.
Think about the time
Yeah.
when he broke out of the chair. You know, when his mom goes down
Oh,
after she
yeah.
stabs him
The
in the
Hunchback
gut,
of
right?
Notre Dame.
But
Well, that
he
was
just
love
rips
for
out of
Mama, though,
everything,
man.
you know, and breaks out
Yeah,
and
he could have been there.
kills everybody. Like he's very capable, and that's what I like about this character. Like, you know, he's cunning, he's smart. You know, he seems like he's a step ahead of a lot of people. He's cold blooded because he's out for himself. He doesn't mind killing people and moving people out of the way. But he's also physically can kind of handle himself.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
even when he was fighting
he's
Sal.
muscle.
Yeah, even when he was fighting Sal, you know, he was holding his own there for
That
a
was
little bit
epic,
as well.
dude.
You
That
know,
whole fight
But
scene was
but
epic.
that's the trope though. Like he is the dumb mook. Like you know, there's a difference between like
Who you
intelligence
going to
and
dumb
cunning.
mook, huh?
Yeah, well, like cunning is very like he's scheming and plotting, and he's got a 4D chess going on in his head. But he's not very book smart. Like, she's got like Louis body or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
Louis
You
body.
fixed it. Like he's not intelligent, but he can get what he needs. He can manipulate what he needs to get done. And I love that about they took the trope of the brainiac, the chess master, so to speak, the evil schemer, and rather than putting it in somebody like the Riddler, like they did in the movie,
Right.
you know, they put it in this big like. He is physically intimidating. I'm sorry, but when you see this 6 foot tall wall of fat and muscle coming at you,
exactly.
that's
yeah.
gonna hurt. That's like, you know, those are the kind of guys that you could punch 100 times and you'll break your hand before you knock them down.
That's why
Also, he's the
nobody
kind of
does
man
it,
who'd be used to pain because
Yeah, he's got it all over his face.
Yeah.
He's used to getting beat up. He's used to getting broken down. He's used to having way more endurance and probably a lot of it because half the time he's just outlasted people. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily because he's kept his
He
head
snakes
down.
his way out because he's such
Exactly.
a lying.
And really, you think about it, he's not even all that intelligent. He's just a little he's just
He's
conniving.
a schemer. Yeah,
Yeah,
just,
he's not,
you
he's
know,
not Lex
he-
Luthor. Like Lex Luthor
he's
would
got the gift
absolutely pound
gift
him.
of gab. Like he can talk.
Yeah.
Right. He can
Charismatic,
talk
yeah.
around circles around the room of anybody, any character he talks to.
Yeah, look
I mean,
how
when
he
you listen
united
to
all
those
those
monologues that
gang
he
leaders,
goes through,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's just like that's one of his biggest strengths is being able to convince people one way or the other to believe his lie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
You know?
with the other
Questionable, too.
gangs. That was
Yeah.
damn,
Yeah, that was
so
great.
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
what makes a great liar, though. Is
I mean,
somebody
they
who can
showed up.
delude
They
themselves.
were going to whack his ass, you know, and that's the impression I was under. And then 5 minutes later, they're popping a beer with it, and I thought for half a minute that beer's poison. They're all going.
That's what I. Yeah, well, that's
Game of Thrones
It'd
one
be
too many
too
times.
cliche.
Yeah.
Well, his character, one of his strengths, obviously, is lying and his talking, but he's so extremely confident, or at least he's just driven in what he's trying to accomplish. That he can be in that situation. He can walk into prison with Sal and throw stuff on the table and be like, "Look, this is what we're gonna do," or he can sit in front of all of the other mobsters or gangs or whatever, knowing that it's a very perilous situation for him, and still talk like he's owning the room, you know, and convincing everybody, you know, like. That's and again, Colin Farrell did a great job of acting in that way, and every line he delivered, the way that he talked, you know, the voice that he gave to the Penguin,
Oh, yeah.
as far as this version of I enjoyed just listening to him talk. The opening scene when he's talking to old boy's kid right before he kills him, and he's telling that story of the old gangster in his neighborhood about how he did all these things, and they threw a parade for him and all this kind of stuff. That was a great monologue. Like that was a great just bit of acting, telling a story. And that, again, that was one of the things that just pulled me into the series. I was like, if it's going to be this good, where this actor can take on this character and tell this story and get you just kind of pulled into this world, you know, and then, I mean, we were off to the races. So just shout out to whoever was doing the entire script for his character in that.
And Vaughn,
Well,
did you
also-
notice homeboy had the top hat at the very end.
Yes.
Yeah, that was great.
And the umbrella. The
I
umbrella was
know.
down there.
Umbrella, yeah.
I would have
You know,
liked to
the
see
Penguin.
him wear it.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I was
I think
saying
it would
the
have been a
same
little too
thing. Yeah.
ridiculous.
Well, speaking
Did
of Colin
anybody-
Farrell, though, have you ever heard his real voice? That sounds like this half the time. You couldn't understand what he said. It's like,
yeah,
wow,
everything
Colin
was,
McGregor. What?
The Inside Gotham. I could not believe it was the same guy.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I kept forgetting. I just the Penguin, like he just be faded into the character.
Yeah.
Well, that was great with the
Exactly.
makeup and everything because you could just picture him as the character and not Colin Farrell, which I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
made it even better because we weren't watching an actor portray a character. You were watching the character because of all the makeup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like I completely forgot. I was like, oh yeah, the Penguin in this show. It's like completely forgetting about Colin Farrell. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Well, Joe, you brought up
Yourself.
Well, Joe, you brought up a really good point about the writing being on par. There's a big difference between a bullshitter and a liar. A liar has absolutely no cards to play. A liar.
Yeah, we found that out in this past election, bro.
Well, a liar has to cover up the truth completely. A bullshitter has a few cards to play. He's got something brewing, but he'll never let you know exactly
Good
what's going on. He'll never give you the full story, or maybe he'll amplify what he's got or diminish it a little bit. He'll never tell you the full story, but he's still got something.
Yeah.
And only a skilled writer can that's the skill, that's the kind of subtlety that a skilled writer that we just don't have
Agreed.
anymore. Where they don't, it's either a liar or you're not a liar. Well, there are
They
different
all work at the
gradations of what you
DNC.
reveal.
I would actually argue that it's not so much a liar as it's a sociopath, because if you recall when his mother had the stroke, she was in a catatonic state. She's
Mhm.
like a vegetable. She could probably still hear everything, and he was still
She did
playing
because
into
remember
the
they showed her crying. Did
yeah,
you-
that's what I'm getting at. Yeah, she was crying, and it's like, oh yeah, it's beautiful. It's what you always wanted.
Yeah,
and she's
yeah.
probably like in her monologue screaming, "This is hell," But I think he
Well, remember,
deludes
he
himself.
also agreed to kill her.
Yeah,
She made him agree to kill her.
Yeah.
And he didn't
Well,
do
he
it.
does-
Oh,
yeah,
that's
he
right.
never
That's
honored.
right. I forgot about that.
Push that bed out the window.
Yep.
Yeah,
forgot
no,
about
honestly,
that.
I'm
I thought
He
so, too.
sees the tear and he still like denies it and goes
He's
down.
still he's still deluded.
I think
God,
when
it
we
would
see
have
them
been so
dancing,
cool. They had
my
licked
head
the
he'd
tear
kill
off
her.
her cheek. That would have been awesome.
Ugh.
Well, he's such a liar that he's he just needs to run away from everything. And
And what the hell was going on with the very final scene? Like, I thought
yeah.
that was the hooker chick that he was dating.
it
I
was.
It
thought
is.
she was going out the window.
Is
I
that
thought
what-
she
is
was
that who
going
it
over the
was?
balcony.
Dressed up as
Well,
his
he was
mom?
just-
Or
yeah,
was
that
he
was
having
her.
some
I mean,
kind of
it's pretty.
hallucination?
He was just to me that wasn't sexual in any kind of nature. It was just because he had that relationship with her
It's
and all
like
that kind of
Oedipus
stuff.
complex.
But
monster?
it was
Damn.
he was living his delusion
Yep.
because all he wanted was his mom to be proud of him or say like good job, because that's all he ever wants from anybody is recognition, right?
Yeah.
Like he's pushing for that recognition because he wants people to be like Oswald this, Oswald that, this and that. And he never got it from his mom, which was what drove him crazy at the end, because she went into catatonic state. So he gets this hooker to fulfill that role. And to
God,
me,
that
it
was
wasn't a sexual thing. It was just
It
like
was
you were
so
living
freaky.
out that fantasy of being able to talk to your mom saying that, yes, you did all this stuff and you're
I
great
think-
and all this kind of stuff. You said you're going to do blah, blah, blah. You did it. And he was able to live that kind of fantasy, that delusion that's going to carry him now
And then
into,
when he
where he's
killed
going in
Vic,
whatever
bro,
season they're going to do.
Yeah, that was a
he
good
killed
scene.
Vic.
I would make.
think that
Are
was
they
his
going to do another
final-
season?
I think that was his final.
I thought they were only doing one season.
What do you call
I'm
it?
gonna
Like
be-
a mental break. Yeah, maybe.
Completely
Maybe.
honest, I didn't
Yeah.
know that was a different woman.
Oh, really?
Psychotic
Yeah,
break.
yeah.
Oh, you
it
didn't
took
realize
me a
that
Well,
was-
it
second.
was the same woman.
Yeah,
I
that was
thought
the
it was
hooker.
mom.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought it was an
It's still
imagination of his
Carmen
mom.
Ehogo or whatever. Yeah, it's still his girlfriend. It's still Eve, I think is her name from the
I
beginning.
didn't realize that was Eve. I
Yeah,
thought that
she's
was,
all dressed up
yeah.
as her
Still
dress.
fucking
Yeah, she just didn't have the
Just
blonde
like his
hair.
mom.
There is one part of that scene that didn't quite work with me, and I think kind of shattered the illusion a little bit. I think it would have been a little bit, if I were to make one tweak for that last scene, I would not have had him say Ma. I would not have had him address her as Ma. I would have had him just
Doll.
ask her, say I'm doing
on,
doing
doll.
good. Say I'm gonna be say I did
Rick
good.
and
Say
Morty.
that I succeeded.
I'm proud of you,
And
son.
but just repeat that. Don't call her Ma, because she's clearly dressed up in the same dress that she wore with her hair done and dancing to the same music they did before. You don't need to tell us, the audience, that this is like his stand-in mother. Let us figure it out, because we're smart enough, because we recognize patterns. We're not that dumb.
The
And
only
this
thing
is
I
kind of a tendency for
Hang on, I'll
screenwriters
be
to
back.
really
The
spell
only-
out what they're trying to do, and that's the one thing that I would change about that. They don't Don't have anybody say ma or have any kind, or I think she said son to him at one point,
Mhm.
maybe not.
I think she
Yeah,
did too.
just
Yeah.
nix that because we can see because it's showing us we can already see what's going on here. We don't need to have that. We don't need to have that question answered. It's more
The only
fun.
thing I didn't mind about that was the fact that just the interactions with Oz and his mother, like he was always like ma, 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 so it
Mommy.
made sense, if he's into that fantasy or you're living that delusion that just sealed home that there is a delusion in his mind, not so much for us the watcher or the viewer, but the fact that he is slipped so far into like his actual mom is up in this catatonic state in the bedroom. And now he's going into this delusion to push him forward because that's what he needed to. When you think about it, that's what he needed to go forward into wherever he's going, whether it's running for mayor or doing this kind of like squeaky clean or clean
image.
Squeaky clean image that he's going forward. He needed that to push him forward and to put a seal at the end of what had just gone.
I did good.
It was actually kind of cool. That setup.
Kills.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know if anyone else noticed this. There was a really great setup and payoff just in that whole last scene. Just had the whole last scene. It tied everything together because he's walking up to his apartment with the like the big old long coat with the waistcoat and the tails and the cane and the top hat. Nobody dresses like that anymore.
He completely became the Penguin.
But who did? Fred Astaire in his favorite films that he always loved to watch.
Oh, that's who he's emulating. Good catch.
Yes.
Good catch.
Yes. So not only is he living out his deepest fantasies of being like the top dog, because we're called Fred Astaire. Fred Astaire is the star of every film he's ever been in. There's also a squeaky clean image. It's this image of dignity. Because even if his face looks like the way he does, the fact that he's dressed like that, it sets everything up. It also it's just a further payoff to his relationship with his mother, because now he is finally becoming the man that he wanted to see on TV that he watched with his mother. It's so great.
That's a great
Was that a penthouse in the Iceberg Lounge? Do we know?
I don't
I
think
thought
so.
that was a joint from the first movie.
The Iceberg Lounge, I think he needs to rebuild it.
Yeah.
The Iceberg Lounge is where he broke into. Oh, you're talking about that's
the Iceberg Lounge in the beginning of the show. You're right.
Yeah. Oh, did anyone else notice Oz's other hideout, the jewelry store? It was named. Burgess Jewel.
Oh, was it? Nice. That's a good Easter egg.
Burgess
Meredith.
That's a good one. Yep.
I was like, this is so great. I love all the payoffs.
Let me direct the conversation in a different direction for just a second. So at the very end of the series, right? Sophia gets the letter from Selena. What do we think that is that leading into Batman 2? Because we know that Selena or
Sophia.
Sophia. I was gonna say Falcone. I can't remember. Sophia's gonna be in the Batman 2, from what we're hearing.
Sophia, be careful.
I didn't know
the
that.
second Batman movie.
Well, that's
because
everything
we
I've
all
read so
died.
far is that her character is going to have a role. I don't know how big, but she's going to have a role in the Batman 2. The Penguin's going to be in the Batman 2 for a little bit. I think Colin Farrell said he's going to have a bigger role in the Batman 3.
Penguin was in the other Batman.
Oh,
films.
is it? They confirmed it for 3. He's gonna have a bigger role.
Just from what I'm reading, he's going to have a bigger role in Batman 3, and that they're also discussing a season 2 of the Penguin. So who knows what's going to happen?
Was
That.
also
But
in
the way
other
that they're setting up this cliffhanger with Selena going forward, what do you think that's about? And in the comics, Vaughn, you probably know this better than me. Were they actually half sisters in the comics, or is this something
that
just
was something we
introducing?
were talking about? So I was looking into it actually before the stream. Selena Kyle.
They were sisters with benefits.
God no. So
Sisters.
So they actually have. It's funny. They have an interesting relationship in the comics. It's very different from what it seems like it's shaping up to be in the show. Very different in that Selena Kyle but the sisters thing is also a possibility. A possibility I say it because and there'll be a lot of talk about Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale's work because they fleshed out the Falcones, Maronis, all that stuff. They created Sophia. And in the comics, Long Halloween, which everyone should, unfortunately, we have to spoil Long Halloween Dark Victory because it's just the nature of it. Because literally, her being the Hangman is literally the end plot twist.
Okay.
Right? Like it's not like, so the fact that they start with that, very different. So Sophia Falcone is like a mafiosa, but very different from the show, which we can get into, but to answer the whole Catwoman connection. She is scarred across the face and dropped out of a window by Catwoman in the comics, and has to get her head is messed up. Everything's messed up. They hate each other. But and I haven't read Catwoman When in Rome, but there is a time gap in Dark Victory where Selena goes to Rome to get some information, comes back. I haven't read When in Rome, but apparently it fills in that gap where Catwoman was investigating the possibility of Falcone being her dad. And from what I read online, it's inconclusive by the end of that story. That is what I read, is that they don't.
There is no conclusion.
I
Yeah.
have to say that one scene where they say that it was from Sophia or from a Catwoman just ripped me right out of the show. That
Same here.
destroyed my immersion.
You
And I
do.
don't like the
I will
change
admit.
either way. I don't like the idea of Selena Kyle being Falcone's daughter. And
I don't
Falcone's
like it
position
either.
in the movie. And it destroyed my immersion in that scene.
Yeah, it's too convenient.
I
To
think
me,
that
it was either. I didn't mean too much to me just because I didn't know too much about the actual story in the comics anyway. Like I said before, I like Batman. I've read the comics, but I'm not as deep into the lore as some people
those
are.
are two you like. Long Halloween, Dark Victory. Those are two you absolutely got to read. Like,
Long Halloween.
Well, you know me, I don't read.
Reading.
Well, Long Halloween was where Nolan took a lot of his inspiration for Dark Knight.
everyone takes from the Long Halloween. Everyone.
Yeah,
takes
but
from
like
the Long
he
Halloween.
he recreated entire panels, like that scene at the top where at the top of the building next to the bat signal with Batman with Batman, Jim Gordon and Harvey Dent. That's taken straight from Dark Victory. From Long Halloween.
Dark Victory basically. So Long Halloween and Dark Victory are that's another thing they pull from that. They converse a lot. But getting back to Catwoman, so DC Comics being what it is, of course they have changed her father like many times, especially because DC likes restarting their universe. And they changed it for the New 52, and then they changed it again for Rebirth. So is Carmine Falcone the dad? Apparently it was on the table as a possibility, but was left ambiguous.
Man,
But
Carmine was out there loving all the ladies.
Yeah, but officially it was her dad. One of the versions of the origin story I heard was that her dad, like, I forget, like her dad was either some guy that was down in the dumps, or there was like a secret father. Like
He was literally the milkman.
he was a horrible person. Yeah.
Meow.
His dad was a horrible person, but there might have been a secret father who was Falcone. But then also what I learned, Rex Calabrese, he in the New 52 was her father.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, Rex go way back.
That was interesting. So Rex Calabrese was her father, but I guess they just didn't use that for the show. I guess they already did they used the father twist with Falcone. They're just like, all right, well, we'll just still use Rex for something else.
Well, did they touch a little bit about this in the Batman? I can't remember because Selena Kyle's whole issue with going into the club in the movie The Batman had to do with Falcone, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
turned to her and stuff.
now
Ark and Batman was daddy problems.
That's what I thought. But did they allude to Falcone being her dad in the Batman? I can't remember.
they straight up said
They
it.
straight up
They
said
did.
it.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's
they
been a
said it
second
did.
since I watched the
Great.
movie.
Now I got to rewatch the damn thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
literally,
gotta rewatch it
her
too.
entire
Again,
arc is.
I'm
daddy
halfway
problems.
through right now. Yeah, that's good. I like it.
nice.
Yeah, they confirmed it.
I
Okay.
personally,
It's kind of annoying. I don't like
I'm
that.
not crazy about now. What I'm also not crazy about, I guess, getting into like criticisms is I don't like what they did with the Hangman, and I also don't like that Carmine Falcone, because I was going back and rewatching scenes in the Batman. Now, apparently, John Turturro couldn't come back. Mark Strong is a great actor. He
No,
Yeah,
he
I
said he
thought it
wasn't
was
coming
great.
back because he
But-
disliked violence towards women.
It
Yeah,
was
that's right.
like-
He didn't come back because of that. That's
It
right.
was
Yeah,
like-
he had no problem
it
with
was
it.
just-
Problem with it in the Batman though. Fuck off.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
ain't what it
Is that what he
was.
said?
They couldn't come up with the cheddar.
Yep.
Well, I think it's that, but I also wouldn't be surprised because I just think, and I know he's a terrible Carmine Falcone's a terrible person, but I saw it as an isolated incident. Making him like a serial strangler
Yeah.
didn't work for me. I think they just totally butchered Carmine Falcone and like all the mystique around him. And they're like, well, he actually was a serial strangler. And then I also don't like that it took. So here's one of the problems I had, because Don and I remember we did a show with the first episode. I think Sophia Falcone was so much better and more intimidating the first 3 episodes than everything forward. I think
I
episode
agree.
4,
They
everyone
kinda
praised
did
it like
mystified.
it's a
The 4th
masterpiece.
episode, I almost noted down the whole thing. I was like, oh,
I hated episode 4.
Both
I don't know if
backflashes
I
were
hate-
terrible.
Both what?
I actually hated Penguin's flashback more than Sophia's.
Really?
I didn't mind Sophia's
kick him
flashbacks.
out.
I didn't mind the flashbacks at all. Again, like coming from a point of view and not knowing too much about her character anyway, and just going with what was presented to me in the show. I thought it was really good because if you look at the entire show, I mean, she was actually the victim of the entire show.
Yep.
Like her
Yep.
arc starts from bad, being screwed over, in the end to being screwed over again, right back where she was. And she was, Vic was like the moral center, if you want to say, of the show, and Sophia was kind of the, like I said, like the victim aspect of the show.
Joe,
And it
check
was
it out. Just like Oz was his own antagonist, Sophia was her own victim as well. A lot of that shit she brought on herself at the end.
Yeah, at the end, I think
on fire, killing her whole damn family.
Well, I mean, think about like she goes in right normal, and she gets all fucked up on bliss.
Gave him Arkham. She wasn't normal.
No, I mean she went in. She was normal. When they put her in, she was was framed for what she did. She went in as a normal woman, and it was completely messed up in that system with the drugs and everything else. And she came out twisted, right?
So you're
and she just embraced what everybody thought about her, and to the point where she started to live it. And I thought she did a great job of like exacting her revenge on the people that deserved it. If you notice throughout the series, she never killed anybody that was innocent or that didn't deserve to die. She didn't kill Alex's mom. She didn't kill the girlfriend. She didn't kill her niece.
Yeah.
Nobody that didn't deserve it, she let live because she wasn't there.
Man. She whacked
He deserved it.
Yeah,
he sent her to prison.
No, her vengeance was righteous.
Yeah, everything she did was it was a righteous vengeance to kill the people that she killed.
Well, you are doing Reaper Destroyer, so okay, that makes more sense.
Well, those people did
has
deserve
nothing to do with
die.
anything, but no, it's like when you see the arc of her, like she was the victim of the entire series. She was actually the hero that came out avenging the wrongs in her life, and then she ends up getting screwed over at the end as far as getting thrown back in prison. I thought it was really interesting that she took that final breath at the end where she was waiting to be killed. Well, that's almost like what she wanted. When you think about it, in that moment, she was like, it's finally over.
She was waiting to get that bullet in the head.
And then, unfortunately, her nightmare exists again, and she's caught and thrown back into Arkham, whatever. And now she's,
you know what she was thinking right there? Damn, Oz did it again.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's so great about that scene because Oz leaves off, "You're going to hell."
Yeah,
he didn't mean you're gonna die. You're going back to your personal hell because he knows that was horrible for her.
that dynamic perfectly exemplifies the difference between a protagonist and a hero, where the protagonist of the story was Oz, but he was the villain. And Sophia was the hero, but she was the antagonist. She was the foil. And I hate to say it because I'm the opposite of feminist, but like I was rooting for her the whole time. I'm like, yeah, come on, do it. Like when she like blew stuff up and when she,
her family and stuff, I was all about it. I was like, oh hell yeah, I wasn't rooting for her against Oz because again, like I was just, I was pulling for Oz.
Yeah,
because he was the star of the show. I was like, I couldn't help but not pull for him.
Yeah, that's
when she did stuff.
When she did stuff, Oz should lose, but I'm like.
Yeah, but when she killed her family, I was like, "Oh, that's awesome!" And when I can't remember the dude that she blew his brains out in front of everybody. He was a worthless character, in my opinion.
Oh, come on, Johnny was cool.
Luca.
I like the actor, but the character was like it had no purpose, But like when she killed him, I was just like, "Hell yeah!" Like that's righteous vengeance.
The character basically existed. Was that?
The flashback that bothered me more was Penguins. Because I couldn't stand the idea that he was directly responsible. I would have preferred if it was like accidental.
But that's what made him such a bad. That's what made him such a villain. That was the turning point,
Well, that's what I wanted to mention. That I don't think he meant to kill them. I think he was just pissed off at him and just shut the door and like screw you guys, I'm out of here. But he got home and he knew they were there, but he didn't go back. That's what made him the villain. Just being a dumb kid, just acting out of anger. That's no big deal. He just shut him up at the door, but he didn't go back and check. He lied to his mom. He didn't own up to it either. That's what makes him the bad guy.
And it never affected him throughout his entire life.
Just as a counter argument to that, I think he knew it. I think he saw his brothers as a competition for the affections of his mother. And the reason why I say that. The reason why I say that, though, is because that point in the story was the reversal of roles. Because up until that point, we saw the mother and we thought, what kind of a bitch would make a horrible monster of a child like that? And then after that point, when she confesses and she says, I found the flashlight. I knew the whole time. That little bastard let like all that stuff. that was when you knew she was the victim and Oz was the monster. It was like Frankenstein's
found
monster.
the fleshlight, Oz. I know what you've been doing.
That's a great point. That was a great
Well,
point.
in that scene in that episode, actually, there's a part where she gets up and is playing with the boys, acting like a zombie, and she is like cuddling them and acting like she's eating them, but they're walking around, they're running around, they're active, and there's a little look there, almost of resentment, but he's upset that they're having that moment. Because he's missing out on it. He feels like because of his leg, because of his affliction, he can't properly be a part. He can't properly have that family dynamic that he and his brothers have because they're normal. He's not, but he doesn't. He doesn't see that his mother has enough love for all of them. That's why that payoff at the end where she says, "I had enough for all of you guys. You didn't need to do this." So they do set that up, which again, it's like acting out of anger. Everybody does that as a kid somehow.
Yeah.
But like if he had gone back a couple minutes later, it's okay. I've just acted out of anger. I'll let you out the door. But no, he stayed there all night and let them. And he didn't even know what happened. But he let them stay there. Yeah.
I completely agree.
I don't think he meant for them to die.
I don't think he meant to kill them intentionally because it just didn't seem like that. But he seemed like he was trying to do something to isolate them so that he could have that moment with his mom. And it just so happens that they drowned because of the water. I would have liked to have seen a follow-up of the reaction of Oz to finding out that his brothers had died in that timeline to see how did they have that character react, and I think it would have been a mistake if he reacted in any kind of surprise. It would have been better if he reacted like, I didn't mean to kill them, but I'm glad they're dead, know. That would have been a good way to kind of push the character forward because he absolutely, when he talks about his brothers, I think the only reason why when Vic mentions their names and he gets all upset or something is because he's still jealous of his brothers to this point as an adult, that when his mom talks about his, has those flashbacks of, whoever the oldest son is, doing this or doing that, it's still a triggering fact for Oz that he gets jealous in that moment too, that he is still not the center of attention for his mom.
Damn, Joe.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Very insightful.
It's all up here.
Yeah. Exactly. I think a reaction would have done well to help us understand what he as a kid was thinking.
Yeah.
It
is unclear. I'm not just stupid. Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can kind of tell just by the performance and by some lines here and there. We can infer a lot from the audience, but to have him just maybe open the door, go back or check, just take a peek. And then maybe take a minute. Don't react. Just take a minute, look down, and then walk back up the stairs. Don't even have.
Or even when the police came over to tell the mom that they'd found the bodies, the revelation of his brothers being dead, you could have just shown him for a slight second, have no emotion of it.
Yeah.
Well, the
and
way
then just go and be like, "Mom, what do you want for lunch?" or something like that. Just to show that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The nightclub scene to me, it looked like he was satisfied and he knew what he the way that the kid's face looked. It looked like he was glad by what he did and he was satisfied with what he did. I felt like he was 100%.
He was satisfied with the situation for sure. At that point, when it was just him and his mom and they're out doing their thing, he was absolutely satisfied in the situation because no more competition. He's the center of attention. All this kind of stuff. And now at that moment, he started to live that fantasy, right? When he's like, I'm going to give you everything that you deserve. And I'm going to put you in the penthouse and do all, at that moment, at that age is when he started that fantasy that we see realized at the end of the series or the season when he's dancing with his hooker girlfriend, that was the culmination, but it all started at that point at 9-10 years old or however old he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think more important than that, it's not just I now have all of your affection because you're my mom, is that you need me instead of I need you. Now I'm in the position of strength because you're the one because she's the one that's been crippled by the loss of her brother. She's been rendered kind of catatonic and gone a little nuts. Now he's the man of the house. He's the one that gets to be on top. He's the one that gets to be in charge. He's the one with the power in that whole relationship. And it's just the more you think about this script, the better it gets. Especially kid Oz and adult Oz, everything it works together so well.
And it was at that moment where he realized that he can talk his way through everything.
Yes.
When that little kid version of him, which by the way, great job acting by that kid.
Yeah, kid was great.
Yeah. When he goes to that monologue of everything, that's the first time you see Oz forming, right? That we see as
Yeah.
an adult. Like he is manipulating now. He's like
he
his
literally
mom.
killed
He
his
didn't know it.
brothers, and
He didn't know his mom was
like,
going to kill him, right? Or
Every
was going to
damn
send him
thing,
out to
Mom.
die.
Every
But
damn
in
thing.
that moment, he changed his fate by everything that he said and manipulated his mom so much that she called off his death. And then going forward in life, but it all started at that moment in that club when he's like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna give you everything you need, don't give up on me, like all this kind of stuff, like that manipulation at that young of an age for that character started at that point. And then you see how good he gets as an adult, going forward.
Have you ever seen that movie? There's something we need to talk about, Kevin.
Yeah, we need to talk about Kevin. Yeah.
That I got some vibes from that because it's like a dark seed. It's like the what was that Macaulay Culkin film there?
Oh,
You Let Me Go. The Good Son.
Yeah.
Like,
that's it.
I got a lot of vibes from that. Like again, the kid's a great actor. Like he's smart. Like that's why I got the same kind of impression that Arza got off of Oz. Kind of like his pulse didn't raise when he murdered his brothers because he doesn't see people as people. It's just like obstacles in the way. And that movie, we need to talk about Kevin. Like as much as it has some actors in there that I'm not a big fan of, but I am a big fan of Tilda Swinton in that. It shows
a
how
great actor.
Yeah, well, it shows how somebody that's evil, like there's that whole argument of nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
Well,
So
this
some
is a
people are
clear
evil.
Yeah, this is a clear indicator that there is a dark seed. And it shows how it grows and it,
which I love,
becomes,
because I feel like in entertainment we see so many characters. Everyone's a product of their environment, really, and that's the line Penguin gives the whole time. Is I grew up in the streets.
Right.
The way it's, no, he had options. He could have not done. He could have not killed his brothers. He could have
went to community.
If you guys watch the behind
strangled a child, like he rationalizes all of his actions. He's just a horrible person, and I like that.
He could have got on YouTube. He could have had a
If you guys had watched the Behind Gotham, the showrunner literally at the end of episode 5 says that it is all the argument of nurture versus nature, and the Penguin becomes one who decides the nurture in the house, nurturing his mom instead.
That's interesting. I was just gonna say I like the fact that they didn't try. At first, they set it up like they're trying to give you sympathy and be like, this is the reason why Oz is the way he is, and blah blah blah. But they turn that on its head and be like, he wasn't. Nothing made him the way he was, right? He just was the way he was, and everybody around him is suffered because of it. And I like that aspect because there was no. They didn't humanize his character. Like they set it up like they're going to, and then they twisted it on everybody. Be like, surprise. He's always been this monster, or this self-serving whatever since a young age. And I think that's what makes a great villain. We don't have to, so many people tried to humanize the Joker over the years and, sympathetic, blah, blah, blah. And that shouldn't be the way it is. Like these villains are villains for a reason. They should be villains from the very beginning because they have something wrong with them. And they just became worse as adults. And I like that they didn't do that with Oz. In fact, they really embraced who his character was in this show,
So lies the question: can you have sympathy for the devil?
This is the only movie to ever do sympathy for the Joker correct.
Well,
the book had less.
Get that shit out of here.
I was not a huge fan of the movie.
The book, the book
like
had
the
less.
book.
The books also does the same thing.
No,
I don't have. The book's not in my dorm, so I couldn't grab it.
But they should. They should never have done it.
We don't know for sure.
They could have just not have.
That's true. I agree.
The movie was for the most part good. They just didn't have to have Bruce Wayne.
Just that one bad scene.
Yeah, with his
daughter. The ending was stupid too. Because I'm going to go on and say this. I think people are reaching. And this is a different discussion, but Batman does not kill the Joker at the end of the
film. When I read it, I thought
I never got that.
I've never been on that
comic.
People are just grasping at straws. It's not.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Oh, he put his hand on his shoulder. Yeah, because he's leaning over. I don't know. I never got that impression.
This is supposed to be Commissioner Gordon's story. I mean, the whole point was that he disproves Joker because
that's the whole point.
Puts him through the one bad day.
Yeah. Also, then Gordon comes out and goes, "I want him brought in by the book," which proves that the Joker is completely wrong.
This is why I get angry at Batman. Is I love the character and I love his moral, his rigid ethics, but like, dude, if you were to kill the Penguin, he's an evil character. If you were to kill the Joker, all of the people that he has killed after he gets out of Arkham for the 100th time,
Yeah.
Like their blood is on your hands.
Well, yeah, but you also then we wouldn't get more stories.
Right.
Here's that, but-
That's the real reason. Like,
And-
But
and
also, gentlemen, if he kills the Joker, it's like Clint Eastwood once said in The Unforgiven: when you kill a man, you kill all he ever was and all he's ever gonna be. You take the choice of him actually rectifying his behavior, correcting. I'm not saying he ever will.
Right.
Clearly, he won't. But the fact that he could, you take that completely away, and you make it so you are just as bad as they are.
Actually, you know what? No,
Well,
the,
you're
real,
right.
the real criminals
problem.
are the people who will not institute the death penalty in Gotham.
Correct.
Yeah,
That's a
real
great point.
problem.
Yeah,
100%.
it's a good point.
Well, that's
But
kind of
with
the point.
Batman,
They-
you got to keep the hero. A hero can't kill. You have anti-heroes and all that kind of stuff, Punisher and all that. They aren't
Yep.
heroes. They don't stand for anything other than revenge, and that's not Batman. Batman is not a character who's standing for revenge as far as
The minute
death
that
goes.
man kills, he's not the Batman.
have you
Well,
seen?
Right,
also,
exactly. So, I mean,
Batman is
you gotta
not
keep that way.
Batman is not judge, jury, and executioner. He is
Right.
not. He is there. He may be there to like bring people to justice, but he doesn't really bring people to justice. He gives Gotham City the
Yeah.
opportunity to bring them to
Right.
justice by simply bringing them in, doing what they can, and by like taking Joker by the scruff of his neck and shoving him in Arkham Asylum to await trial, which is never going to
Nice
come
mic,
because
dude.
Arkham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Batman himself is not the instrument of justice. He is an offshoot of it. He lies
Exactly.
He's no
outside
better
of it.
than a
That's why he
policeman.
is. Well,
He is the
he's
dark. He is
Yeah, I
justice.
guess.
And
Yeah,
I want
he's
to.
kind of
I'd
a-
love to discuss this, but let's get back to the show.
Yeah, I was about to say this is
Yeah,
gonna be a
sorry.
long
Sorry.
Because I would
Derail.
love to talk about that, but I know
Yeah.
I had a million thoughts, and I was like, put them aside for now.
All right,
you know?
jump back in the show. I've
All
only
right,
got a
so-
few
Yeah.
more minutes. I'm going to be on here. So
All
what
right,
do we
gotcha.
jump back into it? Correct is fun.
All
Put us
right.
on the right
Vaughn,
path.
do you want to go
All
over
right,
your
so let's
Cynthia
talk
thing?
about let's talk about so Joe, I'll show you this. I don't know if you guys saw, but I had some spicy opinions on episode 4,
Oh,
Oh boy.
and I was
you are a
crucified
spicy,
for them.
opinionated guy. I will say that.
And I was crucified for these.
Such a
comments.
deviant young lad.
So TikTok was very upset.
Well, there's
Now,
your mistake.
You'll notice a view. Look at how I get views. You'll notice that I got an uptake of 13K. on
That
this.
is way too many
Whoa.
Von Colemans.
Now you might be saying,
Dream
Too many
Trilogy
face
comes
shots,
what
man.
did you do? Well, I finished episode 4 and I was live texting my buddy Bobby. We were live tweeting about it. And I go, I just had a bad feeling about the episode. So I go in and then after it massacred my bull. More accurately, because they totally just destroyed Sophia Falcone and the whole trajectory of the show, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, what the fuck? The whole time I was like, oh my god, is she mentally unstable? Is she whatever? And it turned out she was an innocent victim. You know, the Hangman, the villain she ends up being in the comics? No, she isn't that actually. It was her father who was a serial strangler, and then she tried to uncover it, and then she got locked in Arkham. That's what happened. What a fucking disappointment.
Oh,
Yeah.
put a nose ring on and cry harder, you simp.
So anyway,
We're gonna shave your head. Shave your head this time.
I kept going on with that, and so the comments, over 100 comments, they did
Nice.
not. They were very upset.
You
with
freaking triggered TikTok.
Yeah, you did.
Stirred up the hive. Holy crap.
So then, please shut the fuck up. With
He
20
hates
likes,
women.
20 likes.
Why?
He hates
Look at,
penguins.
I got ratioed in all of these comments. Bro, just talking. You're alone on this. Misspelled your. I'd like to point out. Fully L.
No, you gotta love social media, man.
Shut up, nerd.
I love how. Oh,
Just embarrassing. Just the word.
Bro,
embarrassing.
what are you yapping about?
none of them are providing a counterpoint. By the
Well,
way.
yeah, no. So
No.
there were a
None
few-
of them probably like me.
That-
None of
that's
them probably
social
know the
media for you
character.
right
No,
there.
I agree. So that's to prove your point. Multiple people go, so you just wanted a one-dimensional character. I said, no. Would you say she's one-dimensional in the comments? And I said in the comics, and I said that to multiple people, and none of them responded. Which
Because
is
you don't know what the
Personally,
hell you're
gotcha.
talking about.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Touche.
All I'm saying. And listen, if you like it, that's fine. But I go, do you think she was one-dimensional in the comics? And they never responded because they didn't. They
Really?
haven't
Because
read,
they didn't read the comics. Yeah,
You're
yeah,
talking
Yeah.
to people on TikTok for one thing. You don't
Yeah.
ask them to friggin' think.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Have you
All
seen
those,
like,
all
the
those people, they
videos
only
these
they only
TikTokers
watch the
put up?
show. They never
Yeah.
they don't know any of the history or anything.
They do
Like,
Even
not
me,
know.
who read the comics and know, I still don't know everything about it. You know, so
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why
I saw
wanted
that
to
video
ask
that you
Vaughn,
posted.
and
It was
I
on
wanted to
X,
ask
though.
Strider
Yeah,
Those
I
two
post it
guys
everywhere.
individually, do you guys ever lose your keys? Because you remember every friggin' thing about every friggin' comic you've ever read, right down to the panel structure.
Oh, I
And
leave
I'm over
my.
here like,
Yeah.
what?
Weaponized autism.
Well, it's all
my
because it's
friend.
all.
I don't remember any of this. And I know I read the books.
Well, I went and I went back into my comics because I was like, you know what? Maybe if 100 people are dragging me, maybe they have a point. And then I go through the comics, and she's fucking badass in the comics, man. She's like,
Yeah.
she's
Hey,
taller
she
than
lets
her
you fall off
dad.
the mark on the show
She's
either.
fucking
Oh shit.
fucking.
this-
Freaking brutal.
Is this
dropping
Dark Victory or
people-
Long Halloween?
Both. She in the Long Halloween, she drops people from roofs and shit.
Oh
Oh,
shit.
I remember her.
Like
a giant.
Okay,
She
I
was
She
a
looks like a
giant
Street
in the
Fighter
comic.
6
That's a
character.
huge bitch.
My prom date.
And like she's actually, so I will say she's actually like the show visually. I mean, she's very good looking in the show. The comic, she's not meant to be pretty. She's meant to be like, holy shit, this girl.
That's just because Tim Sale drew.
Like
it.
You know, I'm okay with it though.
Well, Tim
Muscle
Sale could
mommy.
draw a cute chick too, like a Catwoman was hot.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay,
The
yeah,
change I
that's
thought was
awesome.
good for the show itself.
Yeah, for the
Like,
show.
I
But
agree.
my problem is, okay, so let's say they did that, but my problem is they made this show about something that it clearly wasn't going to be about,
Yeah.
and that they made it like because I was the whole first 3 episodes, right?
Dude,
I
you
was
just
like,
still mad because they didn't put Cobblepot on the end of it. That's all.
that
I'm
is
mad about
that
That
is
annoyed me.
Look,
No,
I
that
annoyed me
is-
a
triggered
little
him. I
bit, I'm
triggered
not
him.
gonna
Look,
lie. Yep.
All right,
somebody
I'll
fire up
get into
TikTok.
that.
Look, he all triggered now.
Yeah, no,
Goddamn.
I think that like if the show was a 10 out of 10, it immediately at least two or 3 points behind because if you're gonna change the character's name of a character's been around
It's
for
too
80-something years.
fantastical.
They
Yeah,
said
Cobblepot.
Cobblepot.
Stop.
I agree.
Well,
That
Cobblepot.
annoyed me. That didn't
All right,
annoy
like
me.
like let's call
Respect the
you.
source.
They gave you the top hat at the end.
All right,
Take
fine.
the
So
W.
fine. Let's call him
Yeah.
Bruce. Let's call him Bruce Way. It's still the same
Bruce
character.
Wayne.
No,
That's
Brian
not
Way.
inside of my,
Letters.
Rouse
Bruce
up.
is too whatever
All right.
name.
All right,
Let's
What
call-
if,
let's
what if he
call
changes
Logan
his name?
Law.
What if he changes his name when he starts running for office and he changes
That's
it to Cobblepot?
fine, but it's still
Edward
like,
Nick. Oh,
But
that was unintentional. I
I was
swear I didn't
like,
do that on
dude.
purpose.
No,
I
it
told you
wasn't.
to say
That
that
was
word.
intentional.
Dude,
No,
that worked
it
for me,
wasn't.
brother.
all right.
I should have thought of that before I said it. I did not mean it that way. I'm sorry.
Villains,
Oh, that was
of
beautiful.
all the
Just a vow. Just a vow.
it's now.
Sorry.
Oh, the
Riddle
face
me
that's
this.
my
What
background.
Tails
I love
Strider.
14% of the
Tails
population,
All right, no,
but
no, 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 no,
50%
no,
of the
no,
crime.
no, no, no.
Oh.
Moving on.
I'm
so-
so
You're gonna be
sorry.
clipped at death
What you
now.
call
Oh
me?
my god! All right, so anyway,
Oh
we're clipping
I'm
this.
sorry.
We're changing the subject.
So many clips.
You had
So
a
many
point though,
clips.
Vaughn. You were saying for the
Oh my
through
god!
the
what
first
was
3
my-
episodes.
First 3 episodes,
Yeah.
I was every idea I had in my head for what she did, for what the Penguin was, Hangman was, all the mysteries. I'll be honest, all of them are more. All my theories are more interesting than what we got. I'm just saying. Like my theories, if she was rebelling against her dad, then they were like that she was hanging people in his business, or that she was doing something else. And then it was
if they go word for word for the book, dude, the show,
they're not
but
going
if-
through word for word.
But
for
if
the
they
book.
did, wouldn't that made it a little less interesting?
No, this is the same argument I've heard every time from comic book fans. They're like, oh, you just want them to know the comics. Well, first of all, yes. Second of all, the same people who are like, oh, wouldn't you be surprised? Are the same people that were shocked Thanos snapped people away in Infinity War, which happened in the
Thanos
comics. Didn't
snap
it?
people?
Didn't he in the comics? I haven't read Infinity Comics.
He did. He snapped away
Okay,
half the
but
universe.
it's also like, first of all, they were never going to follow the Hangman in the comics because if they were, Sophia would have had to have been there before Falcone died. Alberto would have had to be there before Falcone died. They also on top of that, her going into Arkham already from her inception was a huge deviation from the character. So I never was under the impression they were going to follow the character 100% ever at any
You know,
point.
They only used her character to push, Oz's character.
Yeah,
It's-
which is fine.
And
But-
I think that's the only reason. Her character. They had to change it for I think obvious reasons for the series, but
They were just using
the whole arc of her story was because he lied or he ratted her out to her father that sent her to Arkham. And again, it was to get himself noticed and to go up the ladder. We didn't realize that until a little bit later on in the season because they didn't really touch on it too much. They kind of, again, they played around with us as viewers to make it seem like he cared for Sophia. or and like all this kind of stuff. And when it was revealed, like no, he was the one that actually set her up and went to her father to be like, hey, your daughter's doing this. And then he got lifted up in the family or whatever you want because of his loyalty, and that elevated him. So like her entire arc was only there to set up Oz as more of this villainous, self-centered character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Can't disagree.
I know, I get it, but I think that. Oh, sorry, I was real quick.
No,
I just
you're
wanna
fine.
say one of the problems I had was, I just feel like, okay, the villains were kind of bitches, man. Like all of like, let's be honest, like by the end of the show, because I was intimidated every time she was on screen in the first episode. By the end of the show, I'm like, okay, she's here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Deal.
I don't know
Like-
what happened. She definitely
like,
lost a lot of
By
her.
episode 8, I'm like, oh shit, episode 7, she's gonna be
She
dead
did
to
what she
rights.
set out to do when she
And-
killed her family. She was ready to go.
Yeah, and then she kind of just like, okay, and or like Sal Maroni, the whole I'm pissed you killed my family.
Yeah.
And then he
that
has a heart
petered
attack
out
and
real
dies.
quick.
And then the argument that people could make would be like, well, that could happen realistically. Okay,
Yeah,
realistically, in issue 2 of my comic, I could have my character die of an aneurysm. And you could go, that's realistic. That's still stupid.
No, we call that a pop out.
Okay,
Well, the
like
thing is,
the,
I kind of I do appreciate that a little bit because it just showed because now Oz has got something to bullshit about. Like
Yep.
I killed Sal, I killed
Well, I mean,
killed
it's set
Maroni.
up
It was
nice,
all
though.
me. Like
Yep, felt the same way about that.
Yeah, I think that was
He
for
didn't
us, the
actually do
audience.
it, but he could
Yeah.
take credit for it.
One more lie.
He was going to die no
Yep.
matter what. Penguin was going to kill him in that scene no matter what happened. And I think it's actually genius that he
think
died of
so.
a
I
heart
think
attack
Sal
because
would've
it
took
robbed
his ass
Penguin
out.
of the right to kill him.
Great
And
point.
means Penguin does
Great
not
point.
get the satisfaction of killing him.
Again,
I
that's
get
another
it.
thing. He didn't
That's
get satisfaction with that. He didn't get satisfaction from his mom giving him credit. Like the entire time he would always set himself up and he'd have these grandiose things, and he would never quite get that satisfaction that he was looking for, that he was always chasing the entire series.
Well,
Yeah,
just
he's not-
just to echo something Vaughn was saying about like the villains being bitches. They had him dead to rights so many times. He was naked
Yeah.
in a chair.
Yeah.
He was like,
Yes.
there was literally no stakes. Like he
Yeah.
got out of everything
He knew he
without
was
a
gonna get
scratch.
out of it.
Like, yeah, like
Every
they
time.
could have like cigar clipped
yeah,
a
but the
finger or
villains
something.
didn't have to be like so incompetent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
the,
Bob
They
the
were
Villain.
like,
the thing is
like-
with characters that you know are going to make it, the key is to not put them in situations that are so harrowing that you know they're that because you know they're going to get out of it because they're not going to
like-
kill Oswald Cobblepot in his own
Yeah,
show
I'm not
when they're
going-
leading into the next Batman film. Just
I
don't
call
put him
that?
in those don't put him in those terrible situations to begin with, or at the
Hmm.
very least give it something. Don't have him be saved by anybody. Have him negotiate his way out of it. Have him find a way out of it because they do that with Breaking Bad all the time.
Oh,
Walter
yeah.
White almost never gets saved by like a car crashing into a building randomly. He has to bullshit his way out of it. He has to negotiate something. He has to play people off each other. It's his intelligence that's using because they're not going to kill off the main character in like the middle of season 2 and 3.
Yeah, it's
So-
the smoke monster of Lost all over again.
The only thing they did,
Name him though. Like give him consequences. Break his arm. Something.
the
Like,
only thing
Exactly,
they
like
did with his
nothing
character-
permanent, or at least nothing debilitating, nothing that's gonna debilitate him more and hinder him in the future. Like, yeah,
Well,
break
it's
his
not
arm, but have him be in a
permanent.
sling. It's a weakened state. You can heal from a broken arm, that kind of thing. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I do agree. Have him escape from so many instances where all they had to do was just like push a button, pull the trigger, tighten something a little farther, and he'd be dead. And I think that
And
was
the
kind of a
convenience
mistake.
of where he went down into the basement when they were all having that party, and like literally there was nobody else there. All the security guards just freaking left. Like security guards that work in TV shows and movies, they suck. They should all be fired because they're never around when you need them. And he just slips on out and he works this dude over, kills him. No
I
problem
think
at all.
what it did,
Yeah,
though,
that
what
was
it did, though, is
week
I think
late.
it
That was
showed
a
his.
week late.
It
Because
showed
they
his.
didn't talk to him. They didn't know he was on it from the jump, right? And then he just gets right on out, like no big deal. And then he just happens to plant the knife in dude's pocket.
Yeah.
Of course, he
Mhm.
didn't plant it in the pocket I thought he was going to plant it in.
I agree. Yeah, that was interesting.
That was pretty slick. But I mean, come on, it
That was
just way
awesome.
too
Yeah,
slick,
that
man.
I think the way he got it in there, like how he got out with episode 2, that was really good. I think the attention
'Cause it
started
shows
to drop
his
again. I
cunningness.
really do think episode 4 is where this whole show started. I started to lose because I was like, he was just narrowly getting by in the first 3
Yeah.
episodes, and then by episode 4, I'm not intimidating by Sophia at all. Like when she has her whole big speech in episode 5, and she goes,
Yeah.
shoots him in front of them as like this is a boss moment, and I'm like, dude, and then she just takes it and she's like, I'm ending this war, and it's like, hold on, no, she goes, I killed them, and like nobody is gonna be like, I don't want to work for her. They're all like, cool, like they've been working for the
Because they all wanted money. That's the thing.
Okay, well, first
You
of
know, like
all,
the whole thing, the whole same thing with Oswald. He's like, I'm gonna pay people. That was his whole thing. He wanted the respect of
Money
people because he
talks,
was gonna money talks. He was gonna pay them what they were worth, and that's how he kept convincing the lower people. Is like, you know, they never give a thing to you. You know, you do all these things, blah blah blah. It was the same thing when she's like, money meant nothing to her. Her family, wealth, all that stuff meant nothing to her, and so she was buying everybody, dumping the money out. You know, I think she was just messing up the system. She was throwing a monkey wrench in the entire system that she hated.
She was poisoning the ecosphere that her family had set forth.
Yep.
Right, I get it, but I was
Done with
also like this, and I get it. That's the point. But it was, and to be fair, it was kind of like an obvious, like, okay, her whole view is not going to work, like the way she did it.
Yeah.
But it did, and I get it. I get it. Like everything she's doing for her character made sense, right? But I just think she became less intimidating as a villain. I really do.
Yeah,
Because it was like,
Yeah, I think I can
really-
pinpoint when
I
she.
bet if that broad was standing in front of you, you wouldn't have said that shit. You don't work as a villain. Okay.
yeah.
Stand
Well,
right
I
there.
also,
Where is that now?
yeah, but I would have been
She'd
more
have
scared
took
of
that high
her.
heel and put it right through your forehead.
I guess, but I would have been more
Sounds good
scared
to
of
me.
the
A hell of a
episode
way to
one.
die.
The episode 1 version of the character, I really just because he was supposed to be more unhinged and scarier, but there's something about the boiling under this. I think again, it's because the stuff I had in my head for why she went to Arkham and all that stuff was more interesting.
I will say,
Yeah,
Well,
I
they had
think
to make her sympathetic, and that was the thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
they had to change her character after
Yeah,
you
you
found
couldn't
out
make
what
her
actually
sympathetic.
happened to her.
You
And
couldn't
you,
root
like
for
we
her.
said
they
earlier, she was
didn't.
actually a hero character out for justice.
Well, I
for what
always
happened
thought
to
they were
her.
going to do that, but I thought what they were going to do was she was rebelling against her dad. She was hanging people, and then she got locked up, and you realize she had a righteous motivation, but she also had a violent edge to her. But the
But
fact
here's
that
the
she
thing,
didn't have a
with-
violent edge to
With
her,
a show with all villains, it's going to be hard to elevate Oswald higher than the rest of the people because what's at
Exactly.
stake with when everybody's a villain, everybody deserves something. You know,
The
so you
audience
had to
has
have
to root for
well,
somebody.
yeah, you had to have Sophia be at least someone that you could sympathetically be like, this is why she is the way she is. She was screwed over.
Mhm.
We are sympathetic to her, you know, so that makes him on a villain level even more villainous when he outsmarts her at the end and robs her of her revenge, which is justified. You know, if
Well-
she was just a straight psychopath, you couldn't do that because it's just bad
Well,
guy
I
versus
wasn't
bad guy.
asking-
There's no like, you know, there's no
Well, there's-
stakes there. There's no
I'm talking a middle ground. Like what I envisioned was a middle ground that she was sympathetic, but that she also had that edge. But in the show, they ended up going, well, she never killed anyone. She was just locked away for her dad's crime because all she did was ask a question. I was thinking it was going to be something like she was rebelling against the family. She was hanging people that were bad because she was against the family or something. And then they locked her away and made her like, let's use your skills for the family. That's what I
That was
thought
your
they were going
mistake,
for.
Vaughn. You brought stuff into the show.
That would have been cooler than
You
what
gotta
they
go
did.
with each
My
show.
ideas were
I-
better than theirs.
I agree. I do
seriously,
agree that she
seriously.
became.
When it comes to shows like this, you got to go in with an open mind and a blank slate because you know.
No, when you're
history is
adapting the
shown,
Penguin,
These MFers will change it up on you in a heartbeat.
Well,
and
Alright,
Vaughn's
cool.
gonna kick the boardroom door wide open and throw
yeah,
his
you know,
screenplay on the
you're
table.
right. So, all right, let's
Well,
apply
Vaughn
that. Let's apply
legitimately
that
said she
logic
thinks
to
Sophie is
anything.
the protagonist.
If you once you start applying that logic, you could do that with like literally everything. Like, oh, what do you
Yeah.
expect? What do
As
you
long as it's a
expect?
good
that
story,
Batman-
though, as long as it's a good story, I don't mind people taking liberties. If you can
Well-
still step back and be like, that was a really good story. I was entertained. You know,
The Joker.
I don't mind it. Like the Joker was shit. Sorry.
I'm sorry, man. I was still rooting for Vic the whole way. Even though I knew he was going to get whacked at the end, I was still rooting.
Yeah.
for him.
Let me wrap up that point real quick, and then I got a jet. So the arc of the character of rising Oswald to the top villain, you know, of everybody else, you had to have the screwing over of Sophia. You know, everything she went through just to end up back where she was, and then you had to have the sacrifice of the true innocent person in the show, which was Vic, completely innocent from the get-go. You know, and then he was the sacrificial lamb at the end to really push Oz into this stratosphere of
It's in the
true
back.
psychopath villain in the Batman universe. So like the whole arc of these characters coming together all to elevate Oz to where he needed to be at the end of the series so that we could put him in position going forward into whatever his role is going to be in the next Batman movie, if they do a season 2, all that kind of stuff. So writing wise, I thought was fantastic how they took you as the viewer through this entire arc of ups and downs and all these emotions, and then just put you, like, my wife was after we saw the final episode, that we would go throughout the entire night, be like, I can't believe they killed Vic. Like, those motherfuckers killed Vic. Like, we just kept repeating it throughout the time. But that was a good. It was good because it was a lasting effect and made you remember this dude is the villain. This dude is not a guy that we're rooting for. He is the villain. I thought they tied it with a nice bow at the end of the series.
I'm just saying, Crown Point, R.I.P. Vic. You know what's up?
Well, that was the whole point of the Vic character, was to illustrate how evil.
Yeah, I get it. And
Oz
so
will
in
be.
that respect, I want to say that everything worked towards Penguin's arc. Like, his arc,
exactly.
everything is great. These are all small things that I don't like. First of all, he's not the Penguin until you establish his name is Oswald Cobblepot.
I'll agree with that. Yeah.
Second of all, I will say, like, again, I can have nitpicks, but still like the
Are
show.
you reading from a list,
Mhm.
Vaughn? Do you
No.
have a list of shit you don't like?
As
I
I
believe
was-
it. I believe- You've been going down a whole series like, I don't like this shit.
yeah, I don't.
Right, this
Yeah,
one.
exactly.
I'm gonna talk about this shit on the show. I don't like this.
Yeah.
I did the same
Yeah,
thing.
they left that part of the name off.
Yes.
Motherfucker didn't wear the top hat. They're gonna
Yes.
get points for that.
Correct. Listen,
All
any-
y'all going
any
down.
deep-
Wait till I
yeah.
get my final review. I'm gonna kill
Yeah,
all of you.
exactly. That was my whole thought.
Bring
was,
it, brother.
okay, this is
Well,
don't
lay
go
it
for
on
the
the
count.
I
Yeah.
will say I do agree with you that Sophia became I think Sophia became less interesting when she became the boss. I don't like her as the boss. I don't like her as
I
much as the
did.
boss. She's not as intimidating because you can feather her hair all you want, dress her all in furs. I'm still envisioning like this mob boss daughter. I'm not envisioning someone with power or with influence because she looks too messy. She doesn't look near enough put together. I mean, you can have maybe keep the
Wasn't
haircut,
spelled.
sure. Like keep the haircut.
some of those outfits, so I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, I know
Well,
the
that's the thing.
outfits are
But
cool.
when she showed up, she was she was all covered up to cover up her scars. You didn't know, but the thing is, you didn't know what she was thinking. She was unpredictable, and she was kind of sweet at some points. But then she'd have these flashes where her eyes would widen ever so slightly, and you know that she's suppressing
she looked
something.
pretty
She
damn
noticed
crazy.
something. And yeah, well, she is a little bit nuts, and I liked having that mystery where you don't know what she's gonna
Yeah.
do. To have her be the boss did kind of take me out of it because she just doesn't exude that kind of power and influence. The way they dressed her was kind of strange. They dressed her almost just like any other Jersey Shore hooker. She needs to be like in a long black coat. She needs to be in a long black coat. She needs to be in something that's way more dignified, way more something that exudes power. The way that she was dressed did not exude power to me.
I would rebel
I
they
don't
put
know.
Kristen Milioti in a long black coat.
Listen, Christian Milioti, gorgeous and whatever, right? But I
Absolutely.
just don't
Gabby
think.
Flynn.
I just don't
I think it was. You know, I think I know what it is. It was the haircut. It was the haircut.
haircut.
Yeah,
Because
that was an awful haircut.
it was because she at first she was kind of normal. She had it tied up. She had it tied back
And
a
she
little
had
bit.
like that,
and
and
then
then when she's first,
yeah, and then she like
I'm rehabilitated. You're like, oh fuck, she's
Yeah,
well,
it's
the
like
hair,
a
all of a sudden she
weird
cut
mullet.
bangs off. She looks like one of those people
Yeah.
whining and bitching and moaning about 2024 election on TikTok. That's the kind of haircut she had.
I have to ask.
It showed
in-
showed that personality, because she looks normal before she goes into Arkham. When she comes out, she's got this weird haircut and everything. But it just kind of
But I'm
goes
talking
like
about
when you're
even
talking about
before, even
character
after she comes
designs,
out
it
of
just
Arkham.
shows like the chaoticness of who
Yeah.
she is now,
Modern
and that
Kristen
shows
Stewart.
within her design of her hair and everything. It
Yeah.
just gives you a visual.
Now, I have to
see.
ask in episode 5 when she's at the psychologist's house, when she's wearing his clothes, does she kind of look like
Like she just got it on? Yeah, she does.
the really short fuck, what's his name? The penguin from the Tim Burton movies.
Dandy
Dan DeVito?
DeVito.
It looks like Danny DeVito's penguin. Because she's
Who does?
old,
The Black
right?
Sludge?
She's
No.
got all
Not
fucked
even
up,
close.
like messed up her face, the way her face looks. She's all like she looks pale as shit.
Hmm.
And I'm
She
looking
looks
like,
more
what does
like
she
that
look
chick
like
Little red
from,
under her eyes.
We can't
And,
make toys out of this
Homeland.
shit.
All right, guys, I gotta get out of
All
here. Great discussion. It was very
course.
fun being here. Vaughn,
Glad
thank you for
you're
the
feeling better,
invite.
Joe.
Yes.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Glad you
I'm
feel better.
almost out of the woods with this pneumonia. So hopefully,
Load
I'll
up
be
on
back
the
next
team,
week.
What's
man.
going on, man?
Absolutely.
I'm looking
Everyone have a
for
great night.
reading your book.
Talk to you later.
Have a good one, man.
Bye.
Peace.
Cheers.
Back out.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, overall with the show, also the gun umbrella, I'd love to see.
No, Joe's
Yeah.
let's talk about him now.
Yeah, let's talk smack about. No, I'm kidding.
So
let's go-
insightful.
What's that red dot?
I
So
thought,
smart.
yeah, I don't know. Like, listen, I think Penguin's arc was great. I think the fact that we're getting towards him building up to being like him when he goes, oh, you have to dress nicer. Like him, it's almost like him killing the man he was to become it. It's part of his origin story that I really liked. As for the character of, let's see, like, because will the character? So is she just straight up not the Hangman? Then?
Yeah, it's,
Yes.
it's in
You
name
were
only.
hung up on his Hangman.
No,
because
yeah,
yeah, I want to see the Hangman as the Hangman. Correct.
yeah.
He's
Well,
into
you
that.
need a
I
female bodybuilder.
understand your frustration. I do understand your frustration because having, I mean, that certainly made the show come together, but having it be so cool in the comics, because there's a lot of storylines, like in frankly, with Marvel, DC, with the past 10 or 12 odd years, we've had so many allusions to really good storylines, but they don't really
Yeah,
come through,
that's
don't
all
really
they're
pay
ever
off
gonna be,
like they
too.
do. Well, exactly. They don't pay off like they should because they for whatever reason they just decide not to. They just don't decide not to properly adapt that story, or maybe just shoehorn it in somewhere else that doesn't belong.
Well, I read an article. It
So I
might have
get
been in Wizard years ago. I don't know. I might be wrong. But one of these guys that does these comic book movies was talking about that very same thing, the correlation between live action and the graphic novel from which it was inspired. And that is the key word, inspired. The dude said it. He said, we would rather bring our own stamp to the material and base it on the comic book. That way the viewers come in, they have a history and a knowledge of some of the material, but we're still able to surprise them in the long run. So that I get, but I also get Vaughn's point. It kind of ticks you off a little bit because that would have been so cool to see translated into live action. But at the same time, it's like now if they do it and you know they're going to be faithful, I mean, like 100% faithful to the adaptation, it's almost like going in with a whole spoiler. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Like
Not as bad as Watchmen was, but still.
I don't see that because
Like, Watchmen was the thing that pissed me off.
But the show or the movie?
The movie.
Why?
Because of the ending. They ruined the entire thing.
I like the ending better as in the movie than
Yeah,
the book.
blame
personally.
God.
Well, that's
essentially.
okay. You're
Blame
entitled
Dr.
to like it.
Manhattan.
I didn't like
Yeah,
it.
that's perfectly fine. I've heard
And
both.
I
I
can
was kind of
still
bummed
agree
with
with
the
you
squid.
because this is America and I love you as my brother.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the thing? I understand. Like, I can see both ways. I would have liked to see the squid just because I would have loved to see Zack Snyder do the squid.
That would have been
That would have been.
epic, dude.
And unfortunately, the only time we got that fucking
No,
squid is in
we
that
got dude's
abysmal
balls.
TV show.
We got the blue dick and balls.
Yeah.
This is what we
that
get.
annoyed me. Yeah.
This is how
the
Classic
only-
physics by
this is what they
Havoc.
want to be faithful with, the blue dick and
Yeah.
balls, not the
But
the giant squid in Times Square.
Yeah, but I get the bomb. I like the bomb better because it fit better. It fit better with John's character arc, with Dr. Manhattan's character arc. I like
Yeah,
that. I
it
just like I
framed him.
like that. I like that bookend. It was
We stole your
enjoyable.
show, Vaughn. We stole
Yeah,
it.
no, it's okay.
But back to Batman. Like, I would have loved to see Christopher Nolan do a Batman No Man's Land story where all these different sections of Gotham
Yeah.
divvied up into
Oh, I'm not
controlled by
saying I
different villains.
want
But but that's the same. They kind of adapted that a little bit in Dark Knight Rises, which was fine, whatever. But
Yeah,
he
I'm
didn't
fine with
outright
them doing
say this is a no man's land. They
Well,
didn't
here's
do
the thing.
that.
I'm not even saying.
Yeah,
And this is what we keep saying. I've never said 1-to-1. Like I said, I was super invested in Sophia for the first 3 episodes. Newsflash: in the first 3 episodes, she was still a huge departure from the character in the
Yeah,
comics.
she
I
wasn't
have
a bodybuilder.
never. I have never claimed that she needs to be 1-to-1.
Yeah,
but
you
the
did.
fact
I
that
got
she's
receipts.
not
I got
even, the fact that she's not even the Hangman, does bother
Yeah.
me.
I got it.
Yeah,
in
she's
my
not-
Twitter feed.
something
You send me
negative. Let's focus
DMs.
on
I got
the
it.
negative.
Okay, go ahead. Don't just make.
I mean, she could hypothetically still
I'm
become
gonna post
the
that shit.
Hangman.
go
Trash
ahead.
cast.
He goes.
But
Trash
Arza,
cast
you're correct.
515.
You're correct on that. But they didn't. So
You know-
why even introduce
Well,
the
I mean,
Hangman
well, they could do
storyline?
it
Why even
from-
introduce the Hangman subplot?
Either
If they're not
Batman
gonna pay
2
it off.
or in the next Penguin
Well,
season.
and in
they
the
can finally
process,
turn
they
into
also
it.
fucked up the like. I'm sorry, I think Falcone Serial Strangler. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
Sure, I
Like,
get that.
Well, this brings up a point though about like deviations from adaptations. Okay, why are we so forgiving of this? Yet when we see
Because we don't have a
bastardizations of
choice.
things like the Rings of Power, where we're like,
Because
no,
it's
that is
good.
instant.
You know why?
condemnation.
I'll tell you why. It's because DC
Is it just because
has
it's
been.
a good story?
It's because DC. Well, that too, but it's also because DC has been endlessly rebooting their characters so
Yeah.
much that it's
they've
like even
also-
like literally today I was looking up who Selena Kyle's father is, and I got like 5 different answers.
Well,
Yeah,
considering,
they're all true.
considering the fact
Yeah.
that like DC, this Batman universe is separate from everywhere else. So if they had
Yeah.
introduced, so if they tried to put in this Batman into, if they tried to put this Batman into as a continuation of the Christian Bale Batman universe or something like that, it wouldn't have worked. It would have been ridiculous. Whereas Rings of Power, they set out to make what they quote what Tolkien never wrote. They are trying to put
Yeah.
Rings of Power. Oh, Rings of Power, shit. They put
Yeah.
Rings of Power. They try to put Rings of Power on the same level as Tolkien himself, like try to fill in gaps here, and they even try to tie it back to the films, which is an absolute
It's
failure. And they do it
offensively
badly
bad.
too.
Oh,
Like everything
Yeah.
is badly. They're also like adapting elements of the Silmarillion that don't work either, because those things deserve entire seasons. Like the Fall of Numenor needs its own season because you're dealing with some really cool shit, but they don't have the balls to do it right, because the Fall of Numenor is metal. Like Sauron is not this dark lord in a tower. We're talking blood sacrifices. We're talking about a silver dome in the middle of Numenor that goes black after like a year or so because of all the human sacrifices they conduct there. Fires are rolling day and night. He is nasty. He is a vile
Sold.
person. But they won't do that because Rings of Power because the writers of Rings of Power have no balls. They have absolutely no spine to properly adapt anything they have the rights to, which is the difference. The difference being you can, because we know they're only doing it for content for their own shitty show. For the Penguin, this is a labor of love. The Batman, the same thing. The Batman has has more care put into its first 20 minutes. The Rings of Power does into its 2 seasons. There are so many great shots. There are so many setups and payoffs and just visually metaphorical sequences. Like the performances are fantastic. We're able to linger on some things that we get a lot of show don't tell, and but all this to say, to answer your question, it depends on the quality of it. It depends on how well it's done and how much attention you pay to the small details. For instance, having Oz, his hideout being Burgess Jewelers, Burgess Meredith, kind of cool. The setup of Fred Astaire, something that nobody here knew, but I caught it because I've been watching the whole thing. I'm watching the whole thing all at once. But like having him look like Fred Astaire from the very beginning, and that it paid off so many different elements. But a skilled writer will do that just by default. A bad writer won't even touch that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. And by the way,
sorry.
I don't want to make it seem like I just like, because I really like most aspects. I want to just get my criticisms out. You know,
Sure.
Is me like I really overall I wouldn't have watched all the episodes if I didn't, like, to be honest. If I get annoyed, like I'm at a point and it happened for the last so many years where I don't hate watch that much. I just kind of like, all right, I'm done. Bye. Like it's like I have so much shit to watch and to read that I'm like, all right. So it held my attention thoroughly, and I really liked that. And there was so much good. And again, the Penguin's arc makes all my misgivings, less. But even stuff like for example, and all part of why I'm biased for Sophia is my favorite of the Falcone children. Like, notice how I haven't really complained much about Holiday, because even in the Long Halloween, Holiday, if you remember, you guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Because like Holiday, even then, of the two, there's 2 Holiday killers, and who is the more interesting of the 2? Ironically, it's also the woman is Gilda Dent is more in, like, if you Alberto is cool, but he's like, of the Falcone children, Sophia was always my favorite. And then there's no Mario Falcone, by the way. But the Mario, I guess, wasn't needed unless we decide to bring him in. If Mario, if you remember, was basically comes in Dark Victory and he was like away in Italy the whole time. He comes back, he's like, "What happened to the family? Like, what's going on?" Like, if you remember-
Luigi.
he was like, "Luigi, what?" No, so it was like the
They turned into the Mushroom Kingdom.
2 of the 3
Oh,
people
no.
ended up becoming serial killers.
Yo,
And,
gents, I hate to break in. I got to go.
okay, Don.
Great
All right.
speaking with you guys. Y'all,
Of course.
Yeah,
Thank you
man.
for coming on.
much love. I just want to give a shout out. Saturday, 7 p.m. My channel, the studio. Me, Marcus Killigrew, Duck Bacon. James ain't gonna be there because he's going to a rock concert. But
Okay.
we're gonna be drawing some Arcane.
Oh,
this
cool.
time.
I've heard that show's great. I've been,
And,
It's fucking great.
Wait,
The
you haven't
best
seen
thing I've
season
seen
1
this
yet?
decade.
yeah, I have been putting that off for so long, and I know everyone.
Dude,
yeah.
catch up. It's great.
Yeah.
So anyway, much love. Appreciate you having me on.
Of
Night,
course.
night.
See ya.
have a good
Season
one, man.
1's a 10 out of 10.
Season 1's a 10 out of 10.
Absolutely.
It's very good. I've heard it's
For,
very,
for Arcane.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm not even a League of
Dude,
Legends fan. It's the
dude,
best thing
yeah,
I've seen
that's
in
why I
the
didn't
past
watch it
decade.
because I was like, I don't.
It has
care
nothing
about-
to do with
because
League.
every-
You don't have to be. You
Yeah.
don't have to. Just
The
enjoy it
lore
for the
of League.
writing.
Well,
the
well,
performance,
well.
the
Here's
animation
here's
is
the
great.
thing. Here's the thing about Arcane. Before discussing Arcane, what would you define as woke?
I don't know.
Intersectional storytelling and
And
intersectional
prioritizing-
storytelling.
politics
Yep.
over the narrative and like and this is kind of where I do think that, like, I guess part of anyway, I'll get into it, but it would say like injecting politics over pre-existing narratives. I would say it's like exceptional levels of I don't even want to say liberal, but like, I don't know, like extreme cases of like over the sorry, I'm blanking right
It's
now.
hard.
I can answer that. I can answer that
Yeah,
question.
you
It's
can
looking-
answer that. I wasn't
it's-
prepared for the question. So.
It's
I'm
looking.
sorry.
It's looking at an actor and knowing why they're there. It's
Mm.
looking at a character and an actor and knowing why they're there. So, for
Mm.
instance, for Falcon and Winter Soldier, and this is kind of what broke the glass for me. I knew the minute that I knew what his subplot would involve, because there's a racial component to Anthony Mack. I forgot his character to Falcon's character. Yeah, to Falcon's character, because I'm trying to remember. He's Captain America, Falcon. What do I want to refer to him? There was going to be a racial aspect. There was going to be a racial aspect to the Falcon because he's a black man. He's going to be named Captain America. And so I knew, and even though they hadn't set that up at all in any of the previous films, somehow I knew that was going to be the case, and I was right. So that's and I would say even the Penguin, I wouldn't say it delved into wokeness. I can definitely see some intersectional storytelling where Sophia really didn't do anything. Threw off the Falcone name and decided to name herself after her mother, Gigante. I thought that was dumb because every time, because I mean, there was no reason for it. It didn't come to anything. It was just another gang under another name. It didn't change anything. It didn't change her character. It
Gigante is
didn't
the last
change.
name in the comics that she married into, and I think her ex-husband died, and I guess they wanted to avert that.
Sure, and that's perfectly fine, but write that into the story. But the thing is, she's not. If you want to, I don't know, just having her throw off her father, because she even specifically mentioned this, my father's name. I'm naming myself after my mother. Oh, so your grandfather? Okay, good one. You know, it seemed shades of intersectional storytelling, but it wasn't really, because
did
if
you watch the
Sophia
Behind Gotham?
What? Oh no, I didn't.
So I watched every single one of the Behind Gothams. I'm convinced LeBlanc does not know the show that she directed. Because during the entirety of the Behind Gotham, all she is talking about is intersectionalism.
Really?
She says that Sophia is the hero of the story. She's talking about she literally says, and I'm quoting directly, that the mob distrusts Sophia because she is a woman.
Bullshit.
That's what I mean. Like, that's
Falcone was about to hand her the keys to the whole kingdom. How can she say that?
That was
so stupid.
I'm convinced that LeBlanc does not know the show she directed.
I disagree. I think it was apparent in the show that there was a lot of that girl boss stuff. Like, this is one of the problems I had, is the undertones. I think that
it could be, yeah.
It was. There's literally like, you can't get a promotion because you have a dick or whatever the fuck.
I think they wanted it to be there, but they wrote it too confidently that it undermined the girl.
And I don't have a problem with her making a line like that. I don't, have a problem. Like, because there are things like that. If you want to like have sexism and stuff like that be part of your story, that's fine. You can address issues like that. I don't have a problem with that. But what I do have a problem with is, all right, I guess this is the underlying issue, right? Is wasn't an issue with the character in the comics. She was a mafiosa, badass, whatever. They made the character into a victim who wasn't one in the comics. And that is my problem. It's the same problem I had with like making Catwoman black and then having her complain about white privilege. Fuck you. She was white.
Yeah, that's right there is intersectional woke storytelling. Yeah.
Well, the
for
reason
example, having a character, sorry to interject, that would be woke to me, but like making a character who was gay from her inception, like Mystique was supposed to be gay in the X-Men comics, that to me isn't. But what would be like making Catwoman black out of nowhere and making her complain about issues. Like, so you changed her race just to
I think especially with comics though, because there are so many iterations. Because if you remember in the Mayor Adam West Batman, Catwoman was played by Eartha Kitt. Yeah, it was fantastic. Eartha Kitt was a masterful actress. God rest her soul, and probably the best villain in a Disney movie is Yzma in Emperor's New Groove. It's one of my favorite films. She was great in that. But nobody gave a shit. Yeah, as Eartha Kitt.
She also sings Santa Baby.
That I knew. Yeah, that I learned about on stream.
Yeah, but but nobody gave a shit because it was a good character. It was Catwoman. She was one of the most iconic Catwomen out there. Everyone thinks of Eartha Kitt when they think of Catwoman, when they think of like on-screen versions of Catwoman, but nobody gave a shit. But if she had mentioned racism around that time, that would have taken Andy, but everybody out of the story. Same thing with Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah,
Catwoman, I didn't mind her being darker skinned, but I didn't care. But the fact that because it's a comic book film, comic adaptation, everything is can get kind of muddled. But having her say these rich white men, you could have just said rich men.
No,
rich
men, privileged, white privileged. That literally everyone in the corner, there was like a collective, like, theater. Like I had people literally
takes you out of it and put you back in the real
that
world.
Movie was so good. Why did they?
That one line.
It felt like a college professor came in and gave their. It was like, it was annoying, and it's like that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Where and other stuff too. It's like, why is there a Taj Moroni? Like, what was that? Like what? Like what? My friend messaged me like during the show.
Yeah, are they Middle Eastern or Italian?
He goes like, why? No, because they mentioned that he's like an adopted son. I'm like, why would you add that? Like that's such a rant because he died in 2 seconds. Why would you just make him have like a random middle? And it's like, or like, why is the one bad influence kid in the neighborhood is like the white kid. And it's like, okay. I mean, and it's a bunch, and those are all like mild enough where I'm not really that bothered.
Well, that's what bothers me about modern media. Like, I hate the fact people are like, oh, well, if such and such came out in the 90s, you'd say that shit was woke too. No. And it's like the reason why my woke detector is like gone into overdrive and why I have very little patience for any kind of woke things. Like I do the Matt Berry, nope, and I'm done. Like I look at it like, so in Arcane, for example, to me personally, I think it's woke as fuck. And the reason why I say that is because your primary protagonists are a butch lesbian and her girlfriend, and every single position of leadership is a woman, and every man it falls into one of 4 categories. He's either dead, he's comic relief, he's evil, or he's spineless. And you look at like what they did with Jace, who was, one of the characters in League of Legends, the big dude with the spanner. He's now putting his head in his black superior woman's lap for comfort. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
She's not, I would not say she's his superior at all. No, they are on equal ground.
He's an aristocrat. Yeah, but he's a higher station. Like every position of
I think Arcane has the stuff to be. I think it has the ability to be read as woke, but I think that's one of the. I think Arcane, if you read it as woke, it is a victim of wokeness. Arcane itself is not a woke show, but it has the stuff in it that you could easily read it that way, given how jaded it is easy to become.
It's feminized fantasy. Like I'm sick and tired of like give me back masculine fantasy.
Yeah,
I say that ironically with a chick on my avatar.
I can't disagree. I can't necessarily disagree with how you came to those conclusions. I don't really think that's the case because you look at who are the biggest. I mean, and I'm not even now that familiar with League of Legends, but like who are the biggest characters in all of League of Legends? They're primarily women because Vi and Jinx. That's who I know. I know them.
I don't know
played the
shit
game.
about League of Legends.
Well, you don't have to.
Yeah,
But
there's
we're
so
on
many
Hapsi.
guys
That
that
makes
made
Arcane
it.
better. That makes Arcane better.
It does.
Yeah, it's a
Actually, I
better
didn't know
show.
anything. I didn't know anything about it. I still don't. I don't play the game. I don't care.
The lore
But,
of
like-
League of Legends is terrible. They actually made it
It is.
better to make Arcane.
Yeah.
Like there's a character whose lore for the longest time, she's a pirate. Her lore was just that she's got really big breasts.
Misfortune.
That's her. What do you mean? That's not
Yeah.
Why
lore.
did they change that?
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing is they de-hotified all the characters because like they made
mean, was
Vi a
Vi all
butch
that
lesbian instead
Was
of
Vi
like,
all that hot in her original character?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I've
dude,
never, I've
Dude,
never
she had the
thought Vi
animated
was-
wallpaper, and there was some jiggle physics.
Okay. Well, that's the thing. I don't know. But just on its own as Arcane, I don't really see it. I don't really see it as a
And
as a girl
Arcane
boss
exceeds,
thing.
I think I
just
feel
know-
the quality filter to count as woke. Because I think in
Yes.
order to be woke, it must be bad.
Yeah.
Well,
Or must devolve
Let's-
into being
I,
bad.
Well,
I, think
yeah.
I think it's infiltration because it's so well executed aesthetically.
But also, who
this
are
is
the most
beautiful.
important characters to Arcane?
All right. Well,
The
let's.
two
This is
most important
topic for
characters are
another
men.
time. Let's get back to the
Oh,
penguin.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm sorry.
Like I said,
Well,
I
like,
want to make clear, like I'm not really seeing this as a political discussion in general.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
There's a difference between like, like no one is, for example, no one's advocating for like a conservative show or a liberal show. People are
No,
advocating for
no.
a good show.
exactly.
And I think I want to make that clear as day.
I mean, see, I like the first 2 seasons of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. That show is intersectionalist as fuck.
All right, let's get back to the. I haven't seen that. But let's get back to the penguin. So
Yeah.
overall, boys, I think it was a pretty good show.
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
that
I
he's
agree.
Oswald Cobblepot, and I was in the Batman store at Six Flags, and you know what the Funko Pop said? Oswald Cobblepot. It's almost
Nice.
like he was supposed to be in the first Batman movie, and these fuckers came in and were like, "Well, he's got to be. What is wrong with Old Pot?" That you
Mhm.
needed
Well, they
to
don't
change
in the
medals.
Batman film. They don't even mention his full. They don't even mention his name. They just call him Penguin.
Yeah, so they've retroactively changed it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think maybe they could rectify that by having him discover some secret stash of wealth
Why
somewhere.
do
Oh,
that?
we're descendant from the Cobblepot family because they do that. They do that in the Batman cartoon where the Pennyworths and the Cobblepots have been bitter rivals for like 2 centuries back in the old country, and so I think maybe setting up an old feud like that would be kind of interesting to have him discover. I'm just spitballing to have him discover that his real name is
we
Cobblepot.
got to find a way to
Here
fix
are my
their
roots.
fuck up,
Yeah.
which they fucked up.
agreed.
Well, he'll
Yeah.
change his name. He'll change his name because he's
Because
going
here's the
into
thing:
political
you could
office.
say that, but that's not the case because the creators literally of the show literally admitted that was something else.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean,
Oh.
I watched a lot of the behind Gotham stuff. All right, here's another thing. Example, talking about using comics. Why have the chick's name be Magpie and then just bash your head in? Now, I'm no fan of the character Magpie, right? I don't know
Yeah.
anything much about her, but it's one of those examples. It's like, oh, they're from comics, and then you just bash your head. So why not just have her be a random?
They need
Yeah.
the member berries.
Well, they
But I don't-
made her like a discount freaking
Shit
Harley
about
Quinn.
Magpie, and if I don't give a shit about Magpie, and I'm a huge Batman fan, I guarantee you they didn't give a shit about Magpie. Here's what they did: they Googled females Batman villains. They're like, "Who's someone that like no one cares about? All right, we'll use her." But then why even call her Magpie if you're just
Yeah.
gonna bash her head in and kill her?
You know, the way
Yeah,
they should do
I
it, they
would
should go to
agree. It's like-
Maggie and then let it to fans to guess if she was Magpie or not.
Yeah.
Well, they wouldn't have guessed it by looking at the character because she's nothing like Magpie.
Yeah, hold
Well,
on,
that's the
hold on.
thing. Then alter her appearance to make her look like Magpie.
Yeah.
No,
There-
don't.
there are
'cause you're
easy
gonna
ways
bash
to
her
fix
head
this.
in.
Don't.
Well, don't
but, I mean,
confirm her. Just call her Maggie. Don't call her Magpie, but make her look a lot like Magpie. Like make her close to Magpie. So there's something that
Right.
if the fans want to say she's Magpie, they can, and never just confirm it.
Yeah, it was like Harley Quinn. It was like a weird. I'm like, what the hell are they doing with this? Character?
Yeah, she acted a little bit. I
I
thought
lived
she
the
was going
gym
to be
and
a
I
Harley
watched
Quinn
that
for a
scene, so I
minute.
really didn't pay attention to her whatsoever.
She was just typical crazy lady who
Yeah.
was next to
She's like, "Ooh, I'm crazy." Like,
Wait, hold up. Did they race swap her?
No.
she's white.
Oh, she looked Asian in a bunch of those pictures.
She kind of does. I see it.
Oh,
That is Magpie.
Yep.
Awooga.
What the fuck is this? Oh, that's closer, I guess.
I mean, at least they got her mole, but they got the mole in the wrong spot.
Yeah,
They did
I
get
have a
her
mole.
before it. Okay, but again, all right. So what is? Hang on. Let's learn
Yeah,
about
it just
Magpie
kinda-
because I don't know shit about Magpie. I'm
Yeah, I
not
don't
even
either.
a big fan of the character, but I do know that she doesn't get her head smashed in before doing any crime.
To be fair,
Yeah,
I
I
also
mean,
like
Growing
one of
up,
the strengths-
Margaret. Oh, sorry, no, we don't have to read her backstory.
Margaret Pie. Ha! I get it.
Is that her actual name?
Wait, what? Her first appearance was as a Superman villain.
Mhm.
What?
Oh yeah, it was.
John
Created
Byrne
by John-
created her?
Yeah. Interesting.
To be fair, I actually didn't know Hangman was a Batman
Great
villain.
alone.
I honestly was wondering whether or not they made her up, but I didn't want to look it up in case there were spoilers.
Isn't
Yeah,
Hang-
that
is-
would have spoiled
don't
it.
they have
But
a
it spoils Dark Victory.
Hmm.
I
So
also
again,
haven't
so
read
so
Dark
so
Victory.
you Long Halloween. Have you read Long Halloween?
I've only watched the animated movie, so no.
Oh, I'll read the book.
I
Yeah.
will
Are
eventually.
you do you read comics?
I tried to.
Yeah, because you fucking pull up, this movie, and you pull up The Killing Joke, and we were like, get the fuck out of here.
My comic of The Killing Joke is at my house. I'm in my college dorm.
Okay.
I do not have access to The Killing Joke right now.
You could have said the comic for this movie.
Okay, but the movie is literally the movie.
We knew what
is
you were
right
referencing,
here.
though.
It
I
is
know,
right
we
there.
know. I'm the
Yeah,
busting
yeah,
your
yeah.
balls.
Just
I'm
get-
busting
give
your
me-
balls.
Yeah.
All right.
Give me shit.
So here's
I've also
the-
only owned movies for like 2 weeks. I just started a physical media collection.
nice. I need to
Oh,
start
nice.
doing that. Yeah, because they're
Yeah.
changing some stuff.
Yeah, Etsy is your best friend.
Etsy, I'll have to get into
Half
that.
price books and Goodwills.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Half price.
No, dude, I collected the remember the Disney Afternoon? They like Disney would pull all their crap and they put it in vaults and stuff and make it really difficult to grab. So
yeah.
people on Etsy just went yar and made bootleg things, and some of these bootleg things look freaking professional.
These are all VHSs.
Nice.
Nice.
I don't know. They still made VCRs, or the VCRs
Yeah.
are still capable of operating.
Yeah,
There's a
Red Letter
VCR
Media.
that I got from Goodwill last week or over the weekend. I think it's playing the Three Stooges right now. But it's a VCR DVD together and just like a really
nice.
cheap TV.
Gotcha.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, first of all, I will say again, another criticism is just that the Penguin really was Penguin in name,
Mhm.
only, for the most part. Now I'm
All of
hoping he
them are.
becomes that. I'm hoping he uses gadget umbrellas and stuff. I understand this is supposed to be a more realistic take on Batman, but it's still Batman.
Mhm.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
or maybe just pull it out as a secret weapon that nobody suspects. Just an umbrella. Hey, what are you doing? Forget about it. And then pow. That would
Yeah.
that'd be kind of a surprise.
Maybe he gets like a Q, like a James Bond Q kind of character that will make him all that stuff when he gets into office.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe-
But either way, get that
Bring
umbrella,
someone
get that
reminds him of
monocle,
Vic.
get the.
Yeah.
He had the
He
cigar.
did.
He had the
He
cigar.
had cigars. Yes, he had
He had
cigars
the
a lot. I
comically
appreciate
large
that.
cigars.
Yes.
Did anybody else but me think that whenever Francis or his mom broke off the bottle that she was going to stuff it in his eye?
Yeah. I thought I was
That
like,
would've
come
been-
on,
he's gonna,
Arkham
like, look
Center.
up.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like we're gonna do Arkhamverse here. Is this? I hope not. Please, God, no.
Admittedly, what
Absolutely.
I had thought is when they were getting into the subway system, they looked like in the darkness. At first, I thought it was a giant coin that they were pushing out of the way to open the subways. And I'm
Oh,
kind of disappointed that they didn't make it look like a giant coin.
Hmm.
Because they had to move that giant circular door out of the way.
mhm.
They should have just been a coin. Just to
Yeah,
go back.
totally.
Why?
The Two-Face illusion.
Well, no, because they had that giant penny that the Batman always had.
Yeah, from the Penny Plunder, my favorite Batman villain.
They should have just
There's
made
no
that door because it was a circular door. They should just made it look like.
You guys know that the Penny Plunder?
I know the name. I don't know if I'm.
Oh, he's the greatest Batman villain of all time, ladies and
Is
gentlemen.
it like
better
Calendar
than
Man?
Condiment King. Not likely.
Yeah, Condiment.
He's in the same league, I would say. So the Penny Plunder tried to kill Batman with a giant penny, as pictured here.
I think that's
Jewish?
anti-Semitic.
And what happened was this villain was so bad, but the Penny stayed in the Batcave. And so they basically erased him from history because the Penny became more iconic than this piece of shit villain. Because they kept having the Penny in the Batcave, right? Instead of because it was just like, oh, he kept it as an artifact from this old comic. But no one wanted to see the Penny Plunder again. So what they did was they literally just rewrote it and was like, oh no, Two-Face tried to kill Batman with the Penny once. And they just erased this fucker from existence.
Good.
And apparently they've been like trying to bring him back. But he is like he's more well known for the Penny, and that's like all he really. Let me see how many appearances he has, because I guarantee.
I think that if they bring him back, he should be mad that pennies they cost more to make than they are.
Yeah,
that should be his own.
This is not a cost-effective
Let's
weapon.
see how many.
I don't know. I could see.
He has had
see how
9
he could work.
appearances.
Oh, that's it. Mr.
and
Coin. Oh, come on, DC.
So
His last name is
Two-Face.
Coin.
You won. Remember?
Yes. So bad. Who did this?
So
Who
he
created this
appears-
hilarious villain?
That was.
That's
let's
like
see,
calling
the
Condiment
creators
Man
of the
Mr.
character-
Mustard or something shit like that.
Condiment King,
Yeah, I'm
I
Polka
believe.
Dot Man. I'm Spot McSpot.
Originally, Joe Coyne. Oh my god.
Oh my fucking
Joe
god.
Coyne?
Coyne
The comedian?
had a business selling newspapers for a penny, but he was fired for pilfering said pennies. He then went on to commit crimes centered around pennies. He was caught by Batman and sent to prison, and ultimately sent to the electric
What?
chair.
I told you,
For
anti-Semitic.
for defacing American currency, you get the fucking chair.
Based.
Yeah, wait, I'm missing some context. Some context is definitely. I'm not. He was then thought to have been erased from continuity since another story retconned the origin of the giant penny to Two-Face, but he returned again in Two-Face Year 1, only to meet his end again. No
I
way.
didn't know there
When
was
is
a Two-Face Year 1.
He died 2008.
Oh my
So
god.
the character
It's a race
disappeared.
from the Mortal Coil.
Mortal
So this
Coin.
character disappeared. He appeared in 1974. Oh, he's not as old as I thought he was. 1974. And then he disappeared for. Oh, Jimmy Palmiotti. I'll have to ask him for his thoughts on the Penny Plunder next time I have him on the show.
Tell
So
me
how
more
did it
about
feel
this terrible
to?
villain.
All right,
There's
so
a
let's
way
see.
that
I
you
mean,
can
he's
make him work by having him be like a bullseye.
You want to
where
talk
he'd, like,
about?
pull
All right,
up
so let's
and-
talk about Batman villains that could and could not get their own shows. Let's Batman villains. So here's what we're gonna do.
Oh
I'm gonna
man.
go through the list.
Oh boy.
Because at this point the show is derailed. We're just gonna have fun.
Okay.
You guys can stay or go.
Who the fuck is Flash?
And then hopefully any of the normies that came in, here's what I'll say. I'll say watch up until Joe Sontag leaves, and then that's a good time to hop off. We went off the rails so far. All right,
Clayface.
Anarchy. I
They
could
turned
see
him to
getting
the
a
good
show.
guy.
Arnold Flash. Did we do anything with Flash? Because he was a corrupt cop. Was he in the Batman?
He
You know,
was
he
not
was
in the
in the-
Batman. He was in, yeah, he was in
was in
the
Batman
Batman Begins. Yeah.
All right. Who the fuck is a rat cat? All right, a baby doll. Oh, we need to use more.
No, that
of
would
her.
be a good one.
That'd be
I think
interesting.
Baby Doll would be a
Bane,
good episodic
Calendar
villain. I
Man.
don't think Baby Doll would work for a show.
Calendar Man is epic. That we could use him.
Could be good.
Black Mask. I could see him.
Yeah.
We
See,
need,
all
all
right,
right,
so-
we need a Black Mask show to get the bad taste of you and McGregor out of our mouths.
Yeah, and that awful. What is it?
I didn't even watch it.
What was this?
Birds of
What
Prey.
was the
Birds of Prey.
sentence-long title of that film?
Oh god, it's on the tip of my
Something
tongue.
about Harley Quinn because everything's about Harley Quinn.
Emancipation
Yeah,
of
these-
fucking Harley Quinn or some shit. I don't know.
So stupid. They had to
By the coward
rename
Robert
it.
Ford. Might as well tack that onto
Let's
the.
see, what was it?
Oh, Clayface.
Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn.
Oh,
Such a
such an
cheese.
obnoxious title.
Who greenlit that?
Catman, Catwoman, Clayface, Condiment King,
Yeah.
Crazy Quilt. Now that's a good one.
What the fuck?
Eraser.
Eraser. A
Eraser.
professional on covering the tracks of other
For
crimes.
20%
For
cut, the
20%
eraser will erase- Yeah.
Now the eraser could be
Fireball? Who
cool
the
without the costume.
Fireball?
Because like the most interesting part of one of the most interesting part of the Blacklist, I don't know if you ever saw that, was the cleanup crew. Like how to whenever they come into a crime scene, whenever Red's done killing somebody or doing something horrible, they come in and clean up the place. It makes it spotless. That would be actually kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Just
You
leave
know,
the
I just
pencil
want a
mask behind.
properly done Bane. I want them to give us a Bane who isn't a dumbass. Just once.
Oh, you.
Because remember, Bane is a
By the way,
fucking
Graham
G.
Nolan
He
and Chuck
solves
Dixon were
the
credited
identity.
for this show.
They were?
Oh, sounds like Bill Cosby.
Hugo Strange would be interesting, but we've already seen him in Arkham games, and I think that was pretty good. We didn't need. I don't think we need.
also
another
did
one.
get
Great
him in
Shark
Gotham.
is a villain I've never read much with. I don't know anything about him, but I know he was referencing
Hush. Hush needs a show.
Oh, that would be a creepy one.
You know what's funny? I love Batman Hush, but Hush is like my least favorite part of that book.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
A mirror image of Bruce. That could be fun. That a villain that Batman cannot beat, but Bruce has to. That'd be cool.
Killer Moth, baby. Batman's had
Killer Moth
Lady
is in Lego
Clayface.
Batman.
Lockup.
Oh.
I remember that episode of Batman the Animated Series. That was a good episode.
Kind of reminds me of Red Hood.
Magpie. There we
I
go.
would love a good Mad Hatter.
Mad
I
Hatter.
actually-
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought
Mad
it
Hatter.
down and
I
I
feel
thought
like-
up.
I feel
I
like
thought
Mad
of
Hatter
a
might be a
treatment
pedophile.
for probably. But I thought of a treatment for Batman movies, and one of the things I came up with is there should be a Mad Hatter movie with like all the characters where Joker is kind of like leading the Hatter, and like they're just taking over Arkham. Like it's Nut Jobs running the Nut House.
Could be cool.
Be interesting. Yeah, Mad Hatter is a villain. I don't know, because here's the thing: the ultra realistic stuff. I really just want, like, because people go, "Oh, this universe is ultra realistic." I'm like, "Oh, so like the last one with Christopher Nolan." And again, I like this Batman universe. I think it's great. Take Gotham, but I don't. We don't need more ultra realistic. I'm sick of other takes of Batman because people keep saying we're sick of the same like old Batman. I'm like, we've never gotten a full comic booky Batman ever, not once.
No.
And
Where's
people are like,
Zaz?
well, this is a
Where the
different
fuck
take.
is Zaz?
How about we get the same take for once? Zaz is cool.
Oh man, I hated and loved his whenever the phone challenges in the Batman Arkham games. I can't stay away from him. I hate that quest line because it's so tedious. Because I hate being led all over the map. But I have to. Whenever I go, I have to because I want to hear him speak more.
Do
I
you
hate
know
the way
why
that person is
Zaz
worn out,
isn't
but
in
I like
anything?
his character. He's
Why?
freaky as hell.
It's because he's too violent towards women. He only targets women. That's why they
That's not
won't put him in
true.
anything.
Is that true?
Does he?
This whole thing is he only kills women, isn't it? Or that he
No.
likes to kill women. He
I don't
kills
think
anyone,
so.
but he wants to kill women, and he marks his body
Is
for
that
the
true?
female he kills.
I didn't know that.
These things happen. I mean,
Let's see. Ra's al Ghul, Professor Milo.
Ratcatcher's in the new Batman game, and I want to play it so badly. I just need to get a system the MetaQuest 3.
Sal Maroni. There we go. Shark. Oh, that was
How
Terrible Trio.
could Ra's al Ghul work?
Well, in the art, I don't even care
Occultist.
as much about the Batman universe. Like, I can enjoy it, and whatever. So, are we? I'm just thinking. You know, this whole. I don't even know where we're going. Honestly,
Zebra Man.
Because the main component's a Lazarus pit, and I don't know how I don't really know how that would work. But I mean, that could be kind of cool because you have a guy who's lived for a very long time, who has a view of history measured not in like years but centuries. That could be really cool. Been around. I mean, he could easily outsmart Batman, but the Lazarus pit is his weakness because the longer he lives, the more he needs to go back and bathe in it to stay young. And he needs, and he can't go too long without being in it. So that could be kind of cool. But you know how Batman's gonna outsmart him.
I really like the
denying him
been
access to
movie
it,
universe treatment of
some
Ra's.
villains we want to see in the future. I think they could potentially do Hush. They did. Thomas Elliot was the name of a reporter for some fucking reason, right?
For the Batman we have set up,
Batman-
I think the only logical opponents are Bane, Anarchy, and Deathstroke, and maybe Black Mask.
Anarchy would have to be a secondary
Hugo
villain. I don't know if he.
Hugo Strange could be like someone at Arkham or Scarecrow,
I would love Scarecrow, but I think his gas is a little too fantastical.
which is annoying. It's like they're shooting themselves in the foot. They really are with this ultra realistic.
Yeah.
Stuff. Like, I'm sorry, they are. It's like, why are you so scared to embrace? Batman has always been a people go, well, Batman's more realistic, and it's like, I mean,
Not when he's fun.
I guess he's more realistic than Superman, but he's
Daredevil is more realistic than Batman.
Yeah.
Way more realistic.
Yeah, but even still in Frank Miller's run, even when it's gritty, he's still fighting like Stiltman on occasion.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's true.
Now, is anyone clamoring for Stiltman? I mean,
No.
But even then, like, yeah, but like, I don't know. I don't see why not have.
See, but this is if DC would just got off their high horse about continuity, they'd give us two congruent Batmans. One Batman grounded and one Batman that's fantastic.
If they were just, they're gonna do that, I think, and they're gonna use Damian Wayne, who I'm not a fan of. But
Why are we going straight to Damian? Damian should be the
because James Gunn said so.
Why?
No Dick Grayson.
No Tim Drake, my boy.
Yeah.
You're literally skipping Red Hood if you go to Damian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's disappointing.
Ugh. Oh,
And then I also think is they
Like
have,
this last
they
one.
have a treatment on how to do. Where are my Blu-rays?
Well, guys, it's been
Have
a
they?
fun night. I think we've gone far enough off the rails for too long. So I'm gonna
We're
end
still
this
on that, man. That's
if
fine.
you guys want to keep talking, that's fine. But I'm gonna call it a night. Everyone want to shout out your stuff? Let's do it.
Cool.
No one talk at the same time.
I'll start off. You can find me every Friday night at Iron Oxide's Rogues Gallery. Vaughn, you've been there a few times.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I try to be a regular, but I haven't been doing it.
Yeah, you'll definitely want to chime in for Friday, for this coming Friday. You're gonna like the guest. I think all of you are gonna like the guest. Been working on it for a while, so this is gonna be good. But you can also find me every other weekend, every other Saturday. I do a D&D stream with Full Metal Nate, who actually I don't know if you've met him, Vaughn, but he's a cool guy. We do it's me and Iron and Darnell and a couple other people who don't make an appearance on Rogues, but we've got a really good group going. We're playing the Curse of Strahd campaign, and next week is going to be we're going to do a 5-hour stream, and it is going to be the season finale. We are facing down a mini boss, and it's going to be our DM is promising a bloodbath, and we've got this is going to be fun. It's going to be horrible.
D&D stuff. That's epic.
Yeah, we got a really good group going, and I'm not like I had a really bad experience with D&D before. I just with the DM that wouldn't have fun with it. That got way too serious, and just the group chemistry wasn't right because that's important. But this one, we're all just a bunch of knuckleheads, but we're all kind of serious in our own way. And we got a thirsty tiefling. We got an elf that almost. We got a drow that almost killed a kid. They got me, the Edgelord, who apparently it's revealed that I've been a servant of the Demogorgon. That we have Iron, who is a ranger with a dark past, and then we got one big old meathead muscle bound guy who is Darnell, and he just this takes no shit, no nonsense kind of guy, but he's also kind of an ass about it. It's hilarious. We got a really good group going. We had a lot of fun. So check that out next week.
That's fun. All right, boys. What about the rest of you? Put your links in the private chat, and I can put them in the chat.
All right, let me pull that up quick. I do videos every single day, just a single video every day because I'm lazy and don't have a lot of time. But I'm basically just the less fun version of Yellow Flash or Hypnotic. I just do a single news video a day. I give my thoughts on it, and usually that means I talk or rant for like 20 minutes and then read an article for like 2 seconds. It's great. I'm on C9 MSK show every single Monday, and Iron Oxide keeps trying to get me on Friday, but I'm busy on Fridays, so we'll see if that ever happens. And I am thinking about doing a new show, but I haven't worked out any of the kinks yet, where I kind of want to get a bunch of like Gen Z YouTubers together to review old movies and see how they're worth doing. Vaughn, I actually want to talk to you about that because I want to try and get you involved. I have Full Metal Nate involved, and I have Mr. Hat, who was in the chat earlier, involved.
Oh, is he a YouTuber too, or?
I don't know if he does YouTube, but he does Instagram Shorts, and he's made a few of his own comic books.
I didn't know.
He's
I didn't know that.
comic book.
I have my first book, by the way. If you guys aren't signed up for the mailing list, you should be. I'm about to launch my website, but
nice.
My comic book is in hand. I have it downstairs right now, but issue 2 is in production. So if you guys want it, if you guys haven't backed it, that's okay. It'll be on my website soon, and I'll have a digital version for you guys to get. So
that was my next question. I missed the campaign. I'd like to read it.
That's okay. That's okay. And issue 2, the campaign, I'm hoping to launch actually as soon as possible next month. So if you guys are going to want issue, and guess what? It's going to be a short wait time because issue 2 is fully colored. My letterer was just messaging me during the stream.
Nice.
Wait, not waiting 5 years for a book?
Yeah.
What is this black magic?
How dare you, sir?
Yeah.
5 years and
Chris,
counting.
speaking of, it sounds like you've put out books, correct?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So you know it doesn't take $1 million in 5 years to make a product, correct?
Oh, God, no. Yeah.
Yeah, most people know. Most people know that.
And dude, like I don't have like a huge, I don't have this huge storied career to back me either.
Right.
And I had no, like, basically it was me. Like I'm fulfilling it by myself. I don't have a factory. I don't have, personnel helping me or anything, and I can get it out on time. So yeah. So
tell us about what your books are. You guys
yeah.
I can't help but notice that you guys all suck at promoting. Oh, never mind. You did put your links in the chat. I'm just an idiot. All right,
no need to.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, so you guys are talking about D&D and stuff, man. Yeah, if you're a fan of Epic Fantasy. Yeah. If you're a fan of Epic Fantasy, I've been working on a fantasy graphic novel series for about 30 years. And it started when I was a teenager, and I went off and did like a whole bunch of other stuff with my life, and I came back and went, you know what, maybe I can make these chronicled sessions of the game that I had developed into a viable story. Looked through it and said, hell yeah, this makes a pretty decent story. And I self-published through, actually I shouldn't say self-published, I got it crowdfunded back in 2021. Infinitel Chronicles #1. It's available on Amazon right now, so you can get the retail edition. And I'm actually in the process of now trying to gauge like interest for book 2, because I don't want to put a product out that nobody's interested in. So I want to see if I can gauge some hype, try to get like at least 100 signups for my mailing list to kick off the Infinitel Chronicles book 2. And the good thing about book 2 is it's double everything. First book was 54 pages full color. This one's over 115 pages full color. And I have an alternate art edition, which means you've got one version of the book, which is made by the first book's team. You have a second version of the book done by a different art team. So it's the same story, just a different artistic view. And then a third book, which is black and white in manga, and it contains both books 1 and 2. And it's got a nice value proposition, $5, so you get the black and white smaller manga edition. And I'm kind of using it as a test bed for the viability going forward with the project. Whichever product gets backed the most, that'll be the future of Infinitel Chronicles.
So there's the black and white version and the color version. You said it's a manga size, and this is a great website.
Oh, thanks, man.
Hold on, let me pull it up. Goddamn.
Oh,
I was working on my website, and I'm like, oh, this looks great. And then you fucking have this. I'm like really proud of what I'm putting together. Fuck you. Honestly, you know what I should do is every time someone surpasses me in some way, I should try and destroy their career. And
damn.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard professionals do.
Yeah, I've been there. I've seen it happen.
Then you can't forget allying with pedophiles. Can't forget that.
Legend.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your nights. And I think everyone dipped out, so I'll just play a quick outro. And let's see. I'll play something long enough because there's always an internet thing. You know what? I'll steal from. Yeah, I'll do. Oh, spooky season is over. I can't do that one. Fuck.
No.
We're gonna do. Let's see, I gotta have like an outro because all my intros are. All right, we'll do this one.
You can't keep getting away with it.